Welcome in everybody, for everybody tuning in. It is so good to see you all. Make sure to say what's good down below in that chat. I'm going to try to say hi to as many people as possible before we hop into the debates for the day. What's up, Gemma? What's going on, Maki? What's up, Chloe? What's up, Ims? What's up, Donzi? What's going on, Nix? What's up, Natalie? Welcome into the very first 700 people tuning into the live for the day. So good to have each and every single one of you guys in here with us. Make sure that we are double tapping away on that phone screen and sharing this live out with a handful of friends. So for everybody tuning in here, we took 2 days off. We took the weekend off. I took it to go up to Boulder, or I guess one should say out to Boulder, and celebrate the 21st birthday. It was a whole lot of fun. It was a nice weekend. I met a lot of you guys, so I ended up going to a football game out there at Boulder and maybe met a couple hundred of you guys. And yeah, no, I'm super pumped and ready to get back into the debates. Somebody in the chat says I look tired. Well, let's just say it was a very busy weekend. Let's just say that. But we are going to go ahead and hop right into the debates. I have been so ready and just so excited to hop back into the debates. I've missed them a whole lot, but we are going to go ahead and do that right now. So if you happen to be one of the very first 2,000 people tuning into the live stream, first and foremost, good to see you all once again. We are so back. Hop in the guest requests. If you support Trump, we will get you loaded up into the stream. We'll have a good conversation. Let's hope I didn't lose my edge here. Let's hope I didn't lose my master debate ability. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and hop right into those conversations. Keep in mind, we're going to be on top of the rules today. We are going to be banning everybody that breaks them, but they're pretty easy to follow. So if you're in that queue, all that you got to be is an American adult that supports Donald J. Trump as president, that is ready and willing to debate. Listen, we get a lot of liberals up here. Liberals, no. Stay out of that queue. Just stay in the chat. Kids, fetuses, children, no. You got to be at least 18. And I'm going to verify your age too. There's no way that you could work around it, right? But let's go ahead and hop into that very first conversation of the day. We got Orlando loading up on the stream. Here we go, folks, with the very first donation here in a handful of days. What is up, Orlando? Do you support Trump?
Yes.
Okay, how old are you?
20.
20, what year were you born in, my friend?
2005.
2005. What month, Orlando?
February
of 05. Okay, all right. Just give me a second here. We're going to go ahead and get the live stream over on YouTube started. It literally takes 5 seconds, my friend. Just hold on for a moment with us. We'll be hopping into the conversation super duper soon, Mr. Orlando. Hi, and welcome in to everybody tuning in over on YouTube. It's so good to see you. It's been a handful of days since we've done one of these streams. I took the weekend off to celebrate the 21st birthday, but we are back now, and we are not going to waste a moment and hop right into the debates. If you haven't been here before, we basically debate Trump supporters for around 4 hours to try to change the minds of those we're talking to, but also to give you guys more information if you happen to be a liberal watching from home, to turn around and talk to those in your own life that may support Trump. But we have our very first Trump supporter already tuned into the live stream. We have them connected with us over on TikTok. Their name is Orlando. Orlando, I'm going to give you the mic. Take it away. Tell us why you happen to support Donald Trump as president.
So our two options were Kamala and Trump, right?
Yep, Kamala and Trump, yes.
And, I chose to support Trump because, Kamala put hundreds of black men in jail for marijuana. And one of the
Well, our first conversation is cut short, unfortunately. I couldn't expect that. So, usually I'm able to help them out before they make grave errors that'll make me kick them. But when you're on TikTok, now this is a really strange rule. I'm not personally a fan of it. If you say the name of any DRUG, or you just even say the word DRUG, that's why I'm spelling it out instead of saying it, you get banned on TikTok. And if I have a guest that will say the name of a DRUG on my life and I don't immediately kick them, my stream will get taken down. It is a very silly rule, okay? We could all look at that rule and be like, yo, what the hell? But unfortunately, it is one nonetheless, and we have to work around the TikTok TOS. So for that last guest, Mr. Orlando, if you have another account, feel free to pop up on that. Just make sure that you don't say the name of a DRUG again. But I don't really fault him for that. Like, how could he possibly know? But unfortunately, we still do have to move on nonetheless. We're going to go to get that next guest up here. What is going on? Do you support Trump Power Games?
Yes, I do.
Okay, how do you?
I'm 18.
Ooh, and what time is it?
The reason why I support
Well,
Trump
very
is 'cause
quickly,
he's
what
got-
time is it, my friend?
What do you mean?
I mean what I said. What time is it?
Like, what time is it for me now?
Yes, precisely.
Because I like Trump's big fat cock, mate. That's
And
what.
okay, that was not a time. That was not a time. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the next guest. We're gonna go ahead and repeat the rules, okay? If you want to join the stream, you got to be an American adult that supports Trump as president, that is ready and willing to come up here and debate us. Now, if you're breaking those rules, you're gonna get banned very, very fast, okay? And we're not fucking around today, okay? We're not fucking around, guys. I am back from my two-day break, feeling more energetic than ever, and I am ready and willing to enforce these rules, and I remove them as fast as possible. I'm really sorry that everyone on TikTok had to see that. We got them out as fast as we possibly could. They should be arrested, 110%. But we're going to go to move on to the next guest right now. Let's go to get Willie K loading up into live. Here we go, everyone. Do give us a second to get that next guest connected. What is going on, Willie K? Do you support Trump? And Willie K automatically left. We're going to go to move on to the next guest, Trent Brown, right now. What's up, Trent? Do you support Trump?
No, Diva, but you're so hot.
I got to kick you. I'm so sorry. We're just looking for Trump supporters. Moving on to the next guest. Here we go. All right, moving on. Fantastic. What's going on? Do you support Trump, Brody? No, Brody left too, guys. We have been experiencing a Trump supporter shortage as of recently. They are going extinct. They're almost all gone. But we're going to get that next guest up on the live nonetheless. We got Lucas loading in right now. If you happen to be one of the very first 4.5 thousand people watching over on TikTok and you want to join because you support Trump, let me know down below. We'll get you pulled up. We got that next guest, Lucas, loaded in. What is up, my friend? Do you support Trump? And Lucas is not even here. Look at that. Lucas got in the queue like 5 seconds before we loaded him up. By the time he was up here, he was already gone. No clue what's going on today. But hey, if you're over on TikTok, make sure that you're double tapping. That will ensure we can get the live to push out to more people. So hopefully we truly can get a debate going. But man, like I said, the Trump supporters, they don't want to talk to me. I couldn't tell you why. Maybe because they're scared. Maybe because Donald Trump has been doing a lot of indefensible shit lately, like renaming the Department of Defense to Department of War, and then posting something on Twitter about them like invading Chicago, militarizing our cities against our civilians. That is just insane. But like I said, guys, we still don't have a single Trump supporter in here. Maybe we should just start shitting on Trump, seeing and to see if anybody wants to come up here and correct me, right? Quote unquote. I don't know what it is, but hey, real quick, Osiris, thank you for the very first super chat of the day with the $20, saying favorite time of the debate. Get them. What else did they say? Here's to good debates with MAGA, willing to listen. GG. Well, thank you for the $20, Osiris. That is incredibly kind of you. For everybody watching, let's get 200 Osiris W's once again while we're still looking for this very first Trump supporter that we still can't find. So we're going to try my strategy that I just laid out. So we have a lot of people in the TikTok already. Here's my thoughts. Donald Trump sucks. Okay, not only is his character deplorable, but he's a raging hypocrite with what he promised prior to the election, with what he's doing now. He promised to release the Epstein files. They're nowhere to be found. He promised to be a president of peace. Now he's renaming the DOD to the Department of War and militarizing our National Guard against our civilians in our big cities like Chicago. Not to mention his economic policy just sucks. It's like a quadruple whammy on poor people that has cut GDP growth in half and reduced purchasing power for over 50% of Americans, according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. Meanwhile, this whole time we could have had a president, who's doing none of these things, actually fought for the working class, actually fought for the future of this country, and wasn't belligerently posting on the internet like a 3-year-old with anger issues, What's up, Brody? Do you support Trump?
Hello? No, I used to.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to remove you, my friend. I am happy to hear that you no longer support him today, but we are just looking for people that still support Trump, guys. Those are the rules. Make sure that if you're in the queue, you're following him. Moving on to the next guest. Here we go. As well as, hey, couple people I got to thank here. Jolly and Sarah, I appreciate you both for the $5 over on Venmo, as well as Alexia with the $5 on Venmo saying the Wall Street Journal published the Trump Epstein birthday letter. No way. Alexia, thank you for letting me know. I'm going to have to take a look at that. As well as Wendy, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo saying, so glad you're back. Looking forward to a good day. I mean, well, hopefully we have a good day, but that will definitely start with a single Trump supporter out of the over 6,000 people watching on TikTok to come up here and talk to me. We're over 10 minutes into the stream and we still haven't spoken with one. So, hey, listen, if you want to change, the tune of the live stream, you want to give representation to the voice of the supporters of the president, hop in that queue because that's what we're looking for. But I'm going to be honest, folks, right now we're not seeing any Trump supporters in here. None at all. What's up? Do you support Trump, TJR?
Of course.
And how old are you?
19.
And what year are you born in?
2006.
And what month?
August.
Okay, I think that maths. Take it away. Why do you support Trump?
Because he's a great guy.
He's a great guy. Are you trolling? I mean, you kind of sound like it. You kind of got that sound in your voice. It's coming off like you're not being serious. Are you seriously a Trump supporter, TJR?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And why is that? Let's get a serious answer this time.
Because of the immigration. He stopped immigration.
He stopped immigration, like legal immigration or undocumented immigration?
Undocumented.
Okay, and how did he do that?
He closed the borders.
Okay, and how did he close the borders?
I don't fucking know.
You don't know how he closed the borders, but I'm guessing that he closed the borders because you've seen the reduction in undocumented entries. Here's my things. I don't think he reduced undocumented entry with any good policy. I think he did it with fascism. All immigrants, documented or not, want to come to this country for a better life, but Donald Trump has been illegally deporting undocumented immigrants where they were then beaten and tortured and starved in a center for terrorists in another country for 3 weeks, or deporting them without due process, disregarding their human and constitutional rights. That's almost, right, promising undocumented immigrants a worse life. So maybe that's why we see lower entry numbers. But that's not a good thing. It's very immoral because, well, it's human rights abuse, and short term because as soon as we have a president that isn't a fascist, that'll stop.
Well, I think they all shouldn't be here anyway, so.
Okay, so are you just basically telling me that you're okay with violating their human rights if it means that we're removing them from the country?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I think that makes you an incredibly bad person. How would you feel if I violated your human rights, right? How do you feel if I wanted to play dictator, got some type of electoral power in the country, stripped you of your constitutional rights, put you in the back of a plane, sent you to center for terrorists in another country where you lost 30 pounds in 3 weeks? Meanwhile, I had guards torture you and beat you if you were to fall out of exhaustion between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. How'd that make you feel?
Well, they're immigrants. I'm not an immigrant.
But if I did this to you, even though you're not an immigrant, it would be really bad, right?
If I was an immigrant, I would say, yeah, go ahead and do it.
Okay. All right. Well, I have a feeling that, you're just trolling. I would find some better way to rage bait that doesn't make you just a total a-hole. We're going to move on to the next guest. Hop in that queue of you sports Trump. Let's go and get that next guest, Ryan, up here. Hop in that queue of your MAGA. We'll get you connected. What's up, Ryan? Do you support Trump? Okay, Ryan left. Moving on to the next guest, we got Drewski connecting to the live. Hop in that queue if you support Trump. What's up, Drewski? Do you support Trump?
Hey, so I'd say not 100%, but I'm more right-leaning.
So overall, we put you in a time machine, sent you back to November, you'd still vote for Trump?
Well, I would, yeah.
Okay.
So I voted for Trump this former election.
And you'd still do it again, after the last 250 days?
I'd say honestly, both of the presidents, not really great options, but if it did come down to it, yeah.
Okay, all right. Why?
I'm not really the biggest on politics, not the best on politics, but it just seems like the right side of the country was more America first,
America
I'm not
first? I disagree.
Yeah, no, and I could see why you would disagree with that, especially with all the funding towards Israel and
Well, there's one big reason, but I was actually going to start off with something a little bit more intuitively obvious. One of the core values of this country, the document that it was literally founded upon, is our Constitution, right? And well, guess what? Donald Trump doesn't give a fuck about it. That's a big difference between him and Kamala Harris. She was an attorney. She cared about the Constitution. She went to school for 12 years just to learn how to uphold it, right? Meanwhile, he called for its termination in December of 2022 and has violated it 6 or 7 times in the last 200 days. I feel like it's every week we get a new ruling from a new court just saying he's violated it again. You can't get any more American last than that, right?
yeah. I'm again, I don't believe either option was the better option. Next election, definitely, I'm going to be looking more at both sides, but I think we just need someone that'll put us first. Big thing, and I think what led me to vote for Trump was a lot of the immigration policies and just saying that we should keep, putting Americans first. And he hasn't really done what he said he's going to do. And
even what he said he was going to do is going to put you last. It's a big lie. The big lie is that mass deportation puts you first. Mass deportation hurts you. Mass deportation isn't just bad for the undocumented immigrants. It's bad for the citizens because of how much undocumented immigrants contribute to this country and this country's economy. Okay? According to the American Immigration Council, if we were to remove all undocumented immigrants in this country tomorrow, our GDP would go down by close to $2 trillion per year. Think about the reciprocal effects that it'll have on you and all the other citizens working in the market, as a functioning member of our economy. That's going to hurt you. It's going to reduce wages, average wages. It's going to reduce average qualities of life. It's going to reduce the productive capacities of our manufacturers. It's going to destabilize our industries, increase our levels of poverty. All these things hurt you.
Oh yeah, I mean the economy is absolutely terrible, and that is mostly Trump's fault. But I do have some sort of like a personal thing to it. I saw like a lot of just during the Biden administration, and I don't know if this is 100%. I don't have all the facts to back this up, so I don't know if this is 100%. But I'm just kind of going off of what I've kind of seen. So the fentanyl crisis in America.
Dude, he got zapped. Okay. Maybe I just need to repeat this more frequently. You can't say the name of any DRUG on TikTok. It is a silly rule. To that we could agree. Okay. You should be able to talk about DRUGs in the way that guest did. Okay, right? Saying, boo, they're bad, right? We have an issue. We have a crisis. We need to figure out how to solve it. Like, regardless if, like, his position was true or false, we should still be able to have that conversation. But in accordance with TikTok TOS, if you even say the name of a DRUG, regardless of the context, they consider you to be promoting the usage of it. And that's why they restrict you. So that's why I had to remove him. We're going to move on to the next guest. We got Braden loading up. Hop in that QView Sport Trump. And for the 8.8 thousand people hanging out with us over on TikTok, guys, make sure that we're double tapping on that phone screen and sharing this live out with a handful of friends. What's up? Do you support Trump, Braden?
I support him as a leader, not as a person.
Okay. Well, I think that facts of his person tell us about how able he is to lead, right? Can we agree that positions of leadership such as the presidency, they're roles of public service, not self-service?
I believe as a president, you need power, and I believe Trump holds a lot more power than the other candidate.
Nick, thank you so much for the galaxy. I'd arguably say that he holds less, and I'll tell you why after I ask you how old you are. How old are you?
I'm 19.
And what year were you born in?
2006, February 6th.
Okay. Yeah, one reason why he holds less power than Kamala Harris would have is because he doesn't care about the Constitution, and he's also like really uneducated on it. He told a news reporter from ABC he didn't even know if he had to hold to it or not. And for that reason, a lot of the things that he's tried to do since his term begun have been unconstitutional. And when he does something that's unconstitutional, the courts limit his power to do it because it's illegal, meaning that he hasn't had the power to do a lot of what he wanted to do. Now, if Kamala Harris was elected, somebody that respects the Constitution, knows it, she was a lawyer, makes sense, she would have had a lot more power as her interests would have been aligned, legally speaking, with the Constitution, not illegally speaking, out of accordance with the Constitution.
Do you not agree that Kamala Harris, the whole election, was putting on somewhat of an act to get votes?
I don't know why you're pivoting. Can you address my last point? She would have wielded much more power as president just because what she wanted to do was legal, not illegal like Trump.
What is so illegal that Trump's doing?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of is tariffs, for one. We had a federal court literally last week limit his power to enact his tariffs because they're unconstitutional. That power would rest with Congress, as well as executive orders like banning the burning of the American flag, banning birthright citizenship for the children of undocumented immigrants. All of these things are belligerently unconstitutional, or like another example, wanting to run for a third term. All of these things are belligerently unconstitutional. Not only paints him to be a wannabe authoritarian dictator, since he doesn't respect our checks and balances, but ultimately makes him not as powerful as one could be if they were to follow the Constitution, since the courts are limiting so many of his actions.
I'm talking about powerful over other countries, I guess. Not powerful, like
Well,
powerful.
then I'm
in the
not quite
sense
sure what
where
you mean.
I'm worried about feeling safe living here, personally.
Oh, dude, how could you feel more safe living in America when our current president renamed the Department of Defense to the Department of War? It is now like posting AI like shit on Twitter about how the Department of War is going to invade our cities like Chicago.
Why is that like the biggest deal though? I'm not saying that in a sense. I really don't understand why. Countries combined, would you say? I don't know. I feel like there's no country that can come take the US and really hurt us. And that's what I'm worried about.
I totally agree with you, man, but that has nothing to do with my point. Like, what do you think my point was? No, my point was that you said that you feel more safe with Trump as president. And then my response to that was to say, how can you, A, feel more safe with a president that is limiting your constitutional rights illegally? B, feel more safe with a president that is renaming the Department of Defense
How
to
is
the
he
Department...
limiting my constitutional rights illegally?
Yeah, for sure. He tried to ban burning of the American flag 2 weeks ago. That is an infringement upon your First Amendment right to freedom of speech, my friend.
Okay.
Right? And I mean, there's many other examples too.
Is there
right?
more to that? Like, is there
Well, I mean,
more
there's
things
other...
he's done?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, if you were an undocumented immigrant, actually a citizen, not an undocumented immigrant, and you were born to parents that were undocumented immigrants in this country, Donald Trump has been trying to limit your 14th Amendment right to birthright citizenship illegally since his first day in office with Executive Order number 14160. If you were trans, last week, Donald Trump attempted to illegally limit your right to own a gun at all. I mean, that even had the alt-right NRA shooting back at him saying that every law-abiding American citizen should have the right to own a gun. And I mean, on top of a whole long list of other things, I mean, I think that those are some of the most important. And, regardless if your parents are undocumented immigrants or not, regardless if you're trans or not, I think the point that you should take away here is that he has no problem playing wannabe dictator. He has no problem trying to illegally infringe upon the constitutional rights of citizens of this country, given that he doesn't like them. What if there comes a day when he doesn't like you?
Okay, I can see where you're coming from for sure. And honestly, you did change my point, or not my point, my mindset on that. But I'm really trying to get more knowledge. Are you not for illegal immigration? I'm kind of switching the topic here because this was talked about a couple times before me.
Yeah.
Are you for illegal immigration, like coming into our country undocumented? Do you think it's okay?
Well, no, I think that's bad. I think undocumented immigration is bad for a handful of reasons. I just think that everybody, like on the right and the left in mainstream media, has the solutions a little bit wrong. Okay, right? I think the way that we should fix the issue of undocumented immigration into this country, which I do think is an issue for a multiplicity of reasons, is by just making the legal means of entering into the country more attainable. Most people that enter into this country without documentation do it because getting documentation would take 25 years and cost tens of thousands of dollars. Okay, let's make it take maybe 2 months, make it free. All of a sudden, undocumented entry is no longer a problem. And then for the undocumented immigrants that are already in this country, removing them will really hurt this country, hurt it so much, destroy the economy. So what should we do instead? Simply offer them a pathway to residency or citizenship, given that they haven't done certain things such as prior violent offenses, pretty crazy nonviolent criminal offenses, and so on. I think that's the solution. It's what is best for this country and best for the immigrants.
I agree with that. I think it's extremely wrong to skip the line because there's plenty of people from other countries waiting to be allowed to come here and immigrate here.
Oh, okay.
But
you lose me there. I don't think it's extremely wrong. I just don't think it's preferable. And the reason I don't think it's extremely wrong is because I think our legislators have intentionally set up a system where the legal entry was unattainable to a vast majority, knowing that it would cause undocumented entry, so people like Trump could run on fixing it, then do nothing about it. I think it was very by design and intentional.
Well, I mean, look what would happen if you go to look what would happen if I go to Russia just undocumented. What would they do with me? You know, it's why are we so wrong for? I think it's wrong that we're taking people off the streets. Don't get me wrong, that's wrong because there's a lot of people that do a lot good for our country, but why should we be looked so wrongly for like wanting to remove the illegal immigration?
Because the wrongness of an action isn't derived from a comparison to another action that's also wrong. Think about it this way. If I could just like spit off like 10 countries on this planet that literally killed people for undocumented entry into their country, do you think that you would say, well, if we just started torturing all of our undocumented immigrants, right? Why should anybody judge that since other countries are doing worse by literally killing them? No, not at all, right? Because we should be attempting to set the golden standard. We shouldn't just merely be trying to do the same or slightly better than other countries and then feel good about ourselves. No, we should be trying to do what is best, right? And what is best is not to do a mass deportation of every undocumented immigrant. That hurts you, it hurts me, it hurts the country, it hurts the country's economy, and most importantly, it hurts the immigrants. We should be doing what is best, which is something else, offering them a pathway to residency or citizenship. Who gives a fuck what Russia is doing? We should not use what Russia is doing to determine what we should.
I'm not saying we should determine what I'm using that as an example of look around the world. Pretty much every other country, you're not going to be able to go there undocumented and start a new life there with no consequences.
And how does this statement refute absolutely anything that I said in justifying that we should have mass amnesty? Are you saying even though mass amnesty is obviously the best option here, since it leads to the best outcomes, and that's something you cannot refute, you still don't think we should be doing it since other countries aren't either? Well, I don't know, man. I thought that the GOP believed in American excellence. I thought that you guys are always the ones screaming and shouting about how we're the best country on earth. We should be making life easier for the generations after us than the generations before us. And we genuinely have a chance here to literally set the golden standard for immigration policy, to create the world that we would envision as better. And you're telling us that we should intentionally hold ourselves back just because other countries are intentionally holding themselves back too? That makes no goddamn sense.
I'm not saying we should hold ourselves back at all. That is not what I'm saying at all. I'm talking why are we looked at? I'm asking why are we looked at so wrongly for making consequences for the people that come in here illegally when it's everywhere all around the world.
Okay.
Is it not?
I've already tried to respond to this about 1 billion times. You're not listening to what I'm saying, and then you're repeating the question. I will tell you, though, I definitely look at you as a hypocrite, because if you think that an infraction on federal law, committing a misdemeanor of undocumented entry, if that's wrong enough to warrant a removal, well, then why don't you think that 35 felonies in a civil adjudication for grape isn't wrong enough to, at the bare minimum, warrant the removal of a president from the White House?
That's exactly you got me there.
Right, like that's a little hypocritical. You're over here telling me, oh, like it's not wrong at all to literally kick somebody out of the country for a misdemeanor, but I'm going to defend a felon rapist as president?
I'm not trying to defend anything he's done. Trust me. I'm defending the job he's done, not anything he's done outside of being the president.
So listen to yourself. You're literally saying that you're okay with a rapist being our president.
I never said I was okay with it. You're just putting words in my mouth now.
If you're not okay with Trump being president, then you're not a Trump supporter.
I said I'm okay. I'm okay with the job. There's a difference between the person you are and the job you're doing.
No, because it's a person doing the job.
No, it's a job. You're going to a job. It's not who you are. Just because Donald Trump is our president doesn't mean everything he's done wrong before that is automatically it automatically needs to be top of the line looked at. No. He's here for what the president needs to do, not for.
So do you agree with like McDonald's policy of not hiring felons?
I
Violent felons?
Uh,
Yeah, I think he's leaving.
know that they don't hire felons.
So do you agree with their policy of not hiring violent felons?
I'd say yes.
So you think that we should be more critical of the background of minimum wage employees than the president?
We should be critical. What is Donald Trump? All right. Has he been Has he been guilty for any of his allegations?
Yeah, he's found guilty of 34 felonies and found guilty of rape.
He was found guilty and nothing happened to him?
Well, yeah. Well, what happened to him in the grape case is he has to now pay the victim $87 million. But for the felonies, yeah, he was found guilty and nothing happened to him. He was found guilty after his second term begun. The judge determined that, if they gave Trump a sentence for the felonies, it'd probably run the country into the ground because then our president would literally be in jail. So they let him off scot-free.
Okay, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. The sentence was nothing for that reason.
Most of the reason I even wanted to talk today is just to get more knowledge.
Okay.
To be honest.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, listen, if you're just kind of generally looking for more knowledge, what I'd recommend to use just to kind of watch the stream compared to being on it. But I mean, if you have any other points that you'd like to run by me, feel free to.
No, I think that's all good. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, man. I'm going to move on to the next guest. I guess before I do, one last thing I'll leave you with here is definitely throw out that mindset of just saying that, well, you think he's doing a good job, therefore you're going to ignore all the facts of his being. Because point number one, you got to remember that the person who Trump is going to have an impact on what he does as president, right? I think if a man grapes a woman, that man lacks necessary virtues of empathy and care for other people, right? Now you're telling me that this man who lacks these necessary virtues of empathy and care for other people is going to be excellent performing in a position of public service. I think that on its own is enough to reject the support for the guy. And it's just incredibly relevant to think about those things. And when you tell us that we shouldn't think about those things, we should ignore those things, I think that you're just inspiring more anti-intellectualism to ultimately suit and fit the narrative of supporting a wannabe dictator and as our president. But I'm going to move on to the next guest. Braden, you take care. Let's go to get that next Trump supporter loaded in. If you're in that queue, make sure it's because you support Trump. And we're going to get that next guest up here right now. We got Kevin loading in. While we got Kevin loading in, a couple people I'd like to thank here. Lori, thank you so much for the $50 super chat over on YouTube. Lori, that is very kind of you. For everybody in here, show some love to Lori down below. Let's get 500 Lori W's. Lori says, W. Dean, hope your time off was amazing. Lori, it was really good. I got to be a regular 21-year-old for once. And I'm feeling super refreshed and ready to hit these debates. So I appreciate you for that $50, Lori. Very kind of you. What is up, Kevin? Do you support Trump?
I do support him. Yes.
Okay. Are you driving?
No, I'm sitting in my truck.
Okay.
I'm not driving though.
Can you disconnect from your car's Bluetooth? You're a little bit quiet.
Oh yeah, hang on one second.
No worries. While you're doing that, I'm going to thank a couple other people. Calcor, thank you for the $10 over on Super Chat, saying it's weird how America used to be anti-Russia and now the GOP is pro-Putin. Dude, it's not weird. It's insane, right? As well as, hey, yo, Sarah, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo. Thank you so much. That is very kind of you. Thank you, Sarah. And then Juan, thank you so much for the $50 donation on Venmo. That is very kind of you. Thank you so much, Juan. That is Juan. Let's get 500 Juan W's. Juan says, a sitting American president declaring war on an American city is treason. You know what? I agree with that. He renamed it to the Department of War, and now he's sending them after Americans. Is that an act of war? According to the name of the department, it sure is. I appreciate you for your thoughts, Juan, and once again, thank you for the $50. As well as Sammy and Moore, appreciate you for the $5 and the $2. And then Nicole, Kristen, and Catherine with the $5 over on PayPal. Thank you guys so much for the love. Show some love to our donors down below. And if you want to support me, you can find my Venmo and my PayPal in the link tree in my bio. Now, Kevin, take it away. Why do you support Trump as president?
Yeah, well, first of all, I would say that I don't want him to fail. I guess that's probably the best way to say how much I support him. He is the president. I don't feel as though we should be sitting around hoping that the guy fails, because if he fails, that means that we fail. I mean, that's pretty logical. But the other thing is to just kind of follow up on what the guy before you was saying. I don't think that it's unreasonable to want him to be successful as the president and yet not agree with the different things that he's done in his personal life. And
I think that
what I mean by
that you're misunderstanding a very crucial part of this conversation, Kevin. It's not that I want Trump to fail. It's just that he has.
Well, I wouldn't say that he's completely failed, because there are things that you can point towards that have been successful. But getting back, just to finish up the point I was making, to continue to call him a grapist is a little disingenuous, in the fact that he was found guilty in civil court of slander and libel on, and that's why he's being sued the $83 million. They didn't prove.
Where's the other
he
five?
wasn't.
Where's the other five? So the total suit is for $87 million. You just said
Whatever it is.
You just said that
Yeah,
he owes
whatever.
her. You just said that he owes her $83 million for slander.
87 million or something like
No,
that.
you were right. He actually does owe her $83 million for slander.
Yeah, for slander.
Where's the
Not-
other? Where's the other $4 million coming from?
That I don't know, but what I'm getting at
I do.
is
It's from the
that
grape. He was held liable for both slander and grape.
in civil court.
Yes, in civil court. Absolutely. Kevin.
Yeah. So he's definitely he's not
Oh.
convicted rapist. He's
going.
A civil
Oh,
court
we're losing
ruled
him.
in against him. Yes.
We're losing him here. We're losing him.
But are you there?
Yeah, so now you're back. So let's just pick up where we left off. You told me that I'm disingenuous for calling him
I'm
a
here.
rapist, even though he was proven to have raped Each and Carroll in a civil court. So why is it disingenuous for me to call him a
Civil
rapist?
court. Yeah. Well, he's never been criminally convicted of a violent crime, which was what you were alluding to a minute ago.
Okay, I've never alluded.
He's never been criminally convicted
You're still
of a
losing
violent
him.
crime.
So I've never alluded to him being criminally
you were
convicted of a rape.
I'm literally right here. I don't know why you're saying you're losing it.
I am losing it. It's because it's definitely lagging a little
But
bit.
getting back to
So, well, I don't want to move on yet. Why do you think that the outcome of that civil
get-
court is not sufficient reason to call him a rapist?
because it's only civil court, as you know. I mean, you're really smart, and I enjoy listening to you and your feed, even though I don't necessarily agree all the time, but I do agree sometimes. It's just that it's a propensity. You know, 50.1% that it happened. It's more likely that it happened than not, but you can't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt.
Wrong. And what you just said is wrong. So 50% of what you said was right. The other 50% of what you said was wrong. So you're right in the fact that the standard of evidence inside of a civil court is that of a preponderance of evidence, which would suggest that an event is more likely to occur than not occurring, which would suggest a minimum level of evidence or certainty to be 50.1%. You're right. However, there's no maximum. You could be held liable in civil court with the evidentiary standard, that being a preponderance, even if you have certain evidence that they did something. So even if Donald Trump was caught on camera raping E. Jean Carroll, and we knew that he was guilty with 100% certainty, and he was held liable in a civil court, it still would have been with that same standard of evidence that being a preponderance, right? And I believe as the evidence that was suggested inside of the civil court that ultimately did hold him liable for rape did prove it beyond any reasonable shadow of a doubt. I think if we consider all facts of that civil court, you would have no reasonable doubt to the evidence suggested. But Kevin,
so
I'm losing you,
and I appreciate your. Bro, I mean, I can hear you clear as day. I'm not sure why it's lagging. But what I'm saying is that you're entitled to that opinion, obviously. But if
Kevin, feel free to request up later when you're back on your home Wi-Fi. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The lag there was just, it was getting a little bit annoying. Feel free to request up later when you're on your home Wi-Fi. We'll happily I'll happily continue my conversation with you then. Unfortunately for now, I am just going to move on to the next guest, just because of the lag introduced by your connection there. But we're going to move on to the next guest right now, guys. Go and put a MAGA in that chat with your age if you'd like to come up and have a conversation with us. We're going to go get that next guest, Britt, up here literally right now, folks. In the meantime, Hannah, thank you so much for the $13 over on Venmo. Saying guilty, still guilty. The jury found him guilty. The mental gymnastics these people do to excuse his abhorrent behavior is wild. Yeah, man. I mean, nothing new. They've been doing this forever, and it's crazy that they do it. But thank you for the $13 on Venmo, Hannah. Show some love to Hannah down below. I'm going to have to remove you here. Just looking to talk to Trump supporters, as those are the rules. Moving on to that next guest, Gray. Here we go, folks. Diane, thank you for the 3-month sub over on TikTok. That's pretty cool. What's up, Gray? Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
How old are you?
30.
Great, man. Do you have AirPods, earbuds, headphones connected to your phone?
Yeah, right. I got Meta glasses.
Okay. Can you disconnect the Meta glasses?
Yeah.
Their mic's decent. I will say it's decent. It's just going to be a little bit better. There we go.
How is it now?
Yeah, 10 times better, Gray. Take it away. Why do you support the worst president of your life, Donald J. Trump?
I mean, it's not even that I support him personally so much. It's just that the other side has made it to the point where the other side is just such an unappealing option that, I mean, you're kind of left with no choice these days.
Okay, all right. So you're basically telling us if Harris won the election, things would be worse off. So therefore, you were left no choice in voting for Trump and still supporting him today. Make it clear for me and everyone watching. How would America be worse off if Harris had won the election?
I mean, mainly the open border policy. You know, that was my number one reason for voting. But other than that,
what was her open border policy?
Just retracting, Trump's border policy when they got into office and essentially opening up the border.
So what specific Trump border policy did the Biden-Harris administration retract that you think opened the borders?
I'm not, technical in all the policy, but the remain in Mexico and maybe title something.
That didn't open the borders. What was the remain in Mexico policy, my friend?
Well, I don't know the policy, but they went from, turning people away at the border to pretty much accepting everybody and giving them court dates and releasing them into the country. And then also...
So you're talking about asylum seekers. Asylum seekers are legal immigrants.
Yeah, but 90% of the claims are false.
That's actually not true. It's closer to 70 that are ultimately rejected by the courts. And I think that they should be able to stay and wait in the country.
So you're saying under Biden, 70% of asylum seekers were turned away.
I would appreciate it if you'd allow me to finish speaking.
Under Biden, we're 70% turned away.
Well, I'm going to finish my statement, and I'm not going to comply with any of your demands that are derivative of a mid-sentence interruption.
Well, it's a pretty, okay, go.
All right. So I think that a majority of asylum claims are ultimately rejected by the courts. I think a lot of reasons for that are people that don't show up to the courts, so their claim is automatically rejected, as well as like high standards. But anyways, nonetheless, I think the solution for the asylum seeking process into this country isn't to make them wait in another country. That's really unorganized, and it's also kind of putting their lives on the line. I think that we've seen significantly higher rates of rape, higher rates of abuse, higher rates of murder, unaliving, etc., when we have asylum seekers waiting in Mexico compared to America. But rather, the better solution is to have them wait in America, but streamline the process. Instead of making the court, making the process take a year and a half, or then they're left in America without the ability to work, make it take a month and give them a work permit the first day they come into the country. That's how we do it.
Well, so my question is this. You think after the 5 million, 10 million, whatever number is that came in under Biden, you think we should still continue
There was not 10 million asylum seekers that came in.
I said 5 million to 10 million.
There was not 5 to 10 million. That's not true.
So what was the number?
I think that like 5% of immigrants are asylum seekers. So like maybe a couple 100,000. If even, that's like a very conservative, I guess, a very conservative estimate insofar as what we'd see people on the right say. But what you're referring to, the millions of immigrants, that is what the Republicans like to say about undocumented immigrants as a whole. But undocumented immigrants are not asylum seekers.
Well, I consider them all the same to me. I don't care if these I don't think we should accept asylum seekers because of the point we've gotten to. Yes, if we would have been strict on asylum seeking from the beginning, I'm cool with the idea of it, but the system is obviously so broken, which I'm sure you can admit, that it just at least needs to be scrapped and all asylum needs to stop until it gets figured out. But until
So why
then,
should we stop asylum?
because the system is obviously not working properly.
What specifically about the system is broken that needs to be fixed?
The fact that so many came in.
That we had a lot?
Yes.
How many did we have?
Well, see, like I said, I consider illegal immigrants and asylum seekers the same thing. They all come here seeking asylum.
So what is an undocumented immigrant?
An undocumented immigrant is someone who came into the country and is undocumented and illegal.
So doesn't have documentation and is illegal in the sense that they broke federal law coming into the country?
Well, I'm pretty sure there was a loophole under the Biden administration where technically they didn't break the law per se.
Wait, so then they're not illegal?
Technically, yes, technically.
So technically undocumented immigrants can't even be deported because deportation would be the crime for breaking the law? All right, sorry, would be the punishment for the crime? And if they didn't commit the crime, then the punishment would be unwarranted?
They were falsely admitted. So yes, people that were falsely admitted can get deported.
Wait, so they were falsely admitted. So now you just think that all undocumented immigrants were... So if all undocumented immigrants legally came into the country, then why should we punish them by deporting them?
Because it was obviously a terrible policy decision that Biden made, and someone has to step up.
What was that policy decision, by the way? What
was his
policy
rhetoric.
did Biden implement that changed that law? No, rhetoric can't change the law because you're literally suggesting that he changed the law.
So you tell
and made
me, why did it
undocumented
go-
entry legal.
why-
No, you're
so-
not going to
so you
shift.
tell-
You're not going to shift the goalpost here, my friend. You told
No,
me
I'm
that
not
the
shifting
Biden-Harris
anything. I'm saying
administration literally changed the law and made undocumented entry legal. Okay, rhetoric can't do that. So how did he change the law to make undocumented entry legal?
All right, answer my question. Why?
I'm not going to answer
under
shit, my
Trump-
friend. You're going to answer my question, not the other way around.
Well, it has to do with the question. It's like completely correlated with the question. I'm saying
No, it cannot be. It cannot be correlated with the question that I asked you
Well, no,
because
no.
any
Here's the
possible
answer.
answer to my question would be the name of a policy or an executive order.
I don't know the answer to your question, but I do know it was something because something changed, and you know it because you're all into this kind of stuff. So
How do you know that
the
something
answer.
changed?
Because I watched a lot less migrants come into the country under Trump, and then a whole lot more, multitudes more come in under Biden. So something
you're
had
telling
to
me
change.
that because we had more entry under Biden, that therefore Biden made undocumented entry legal.
So do you think it was
Utter
as
nonsense.
easy?
Could you just affirm that that's your argument?
I didn't hear what you said, but
So is
do
your
you
argument,
think,
okay, then I'll repeat myself if you didn't hear me. Is your argument that because we had more entry under Biden, that therefore Biden literally made undocumented entry legal?
No, but he made it easier to get into the country under Trump. That's a fact.
Oh, okay.
Period.
So now you're completely changing the argument, but this has a lot of unforeseen consequences for what you've been arguing so far. Because you did tell us for around 5 minutes that Biden literally made undocumented entry legal, right?
I'm pretty sure, yes.
Okay. All right. So once again, that would mean that your argument is that because there's more entry under Biden, therefore Biden made it legal?
For about a minute. I'm pretty sure he changed some stuff around, whether it was a law or whatever, that made it easier to get into the country. That is true. He changed stuff that made it easier to get into the country. Period.
Okay. What did he change?
I'm not sure. You know, but you won't say it. You
Okay.
know, but you won't say it.
I hear your argument. Your argument is that because there's more entry under Biden, that therefore Biden made it easier. This is a very common correlation causation fallacy, sir. You cannot assume just because two variables are associated with one another, such as border entries under Biden, that therefore Biden caused it by changing the policy. I'm going to go ahead and turn your logic around on you to show you how misled it is. Under the Trump administration, at the end, in April of 2020, we had the highest level of unemployment since the Great Depression at 14.8%. A rational mind would yield the conclusion that the pandemic caused that, and Trump didn't cause the pandemic. However, an irrational mind using your logic could conclude that because the highest level of unemployment happened under Trump's administration in April of 2020, that therefore Trump caused it by changing policy. So using your logic, I can yield the conclusion that Donald Trump passed terrible economic policy that caused the highest level of unemployment in the last 100 years merely because it happened under his first administration. Critique the logic. I dare you. Because in critiquing the argument that I just gave you, you're actually critiquing yourself as it would relate to your claims about Biden apparently changing immigration policy to cause more entry. He went on pause. I don't know where he's at. Maybe he's Googling. While he's Googling real quick, Michael, thank you for the $20 over on...
He did change immigration policy. I did just Google it, and I can give you multiple examples right now.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to...
I can't hear you when you're on pause. Keep that in mind.
Title 42 expulsion.
Oh. When you leave the app, I can't hear you.
He halted the migrant protection protocols.
So you just said Title 42, right?
Straight from Grok.
Straight from Grok. Wow. Do you know what Title 42 was?
You can indulge me.
Wow. I mean, you should probably know what it is before you start talking about it, because if you did know what it was, then you would know it was a special policy that could only be implemented during the pandemic due to the enacted public health emergency of the pandemic. Now, the moment that public health emergency of COVID was declared as over, Title 42 necessarily had to expire, and if it stayed in effect after that public health emergency was declared as over, it would have been unconstitutional. Yeah, and guess what?
So
it was actually you and the other Republicans on the right who
Why did he halt the migrant protection
one second, I'm still
protocol?
speaking. It was actually you and all the other people on the right that thought that thought the pandemic was never a public health emergency and merely just the flu. So if you and the other Republicans got your way, Title 42 never would have been implemented to begin with, as there never would have been a declared public health emergency. So in a sense, the Democrats are the people you have to thank for it being in effect for the time it was.
Okay, well, Biden shouldn't have extended it until 2023 for no reason.
He shouldn't have extended it? Extended Title 42?
Yes, he kept it going until 2023.
Title 42 stopped entry. So now you're arguing that the Biden-Harris administration should have allowed more entry.
No,
this is why you got to research these policies before you talk about them.
Well, I know these policies, and I know that Biden changed stuff that made entry more easier for immigrants. That's a fact.
So now you're back to the top level claim that I've already disputed before you started giving me the specifics. And obviously you don't know these policies. Obviously not.
Okay. Well, all I know is you're trying to just add a bunch of words to it, but the fact remains that Biden made it easier for immigrants to enter the country than it was when Trump was in office. That's a fact.
And the second fact remains that you're yielding this conclusion with the use of a logical fallacy that I've already made clear to you. Once again, your argument for this conclusion would be that because there was more entry under Biden, therefore Biden changed the policy to make it easier to enter. Correlation causation fallacy. Just because two variables are associated with one another doesn't mean one caused the other. We've already went over that. We're just going to apply your logic back to Trump. I've already done this. I don't think that you heard me, so I'll do it again. I want to assume that your logic is true. We could just blame whatever happens in the country on the president and say that they passed policy that caused that. Well, then because we had the highest level of unemployment in 100 years under Trump's first term in April of 2020 at 14.8%, therefore Donald Trump passed a very terrible economic policy that caused it. And I can yield that conclusion with your logic.
And it's also a fact that
You're going to
Trump
ignore that?
had
Don't
pol-
ignore that.
And it's also a fact that Trump had
don't ignore what I
policies-
just said.
Summarize what you said.
I've already said it twice. You need me to say it for a third time? Why weren't you listening?
Because I was looking at more evidence to tell you of why Biden made it easier.
Can you focus this time then? Could I just get like...
I'll focus this time.
Okay. One last time here. Your argument is that more border crossing under Biden. Therefore, Biden changed policy to cause more border crossing.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm
Then
saying.
sum up your argument in 2 sentences.
Okay, Trump had policies in place that made immigrants remain in Mexico or made him so that they would be expelled quickly. Biden got rid of those policies and made it so that every single person could come into the United States with a court date years down the road. And it influenced and it encouraged millions and millions and millions of them to come. And he just let them all in because he reversed the policies that Trump had that made them remain in Mexico until the decision was final or quick expulsion. That's my argument, and that's a fact.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna prove
I don't
your
understand
argument.
what's hard to understand about that.
I'm gonna prove your argument wrong in about 2 sentences. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The millions of crossings that you and other Republicans like to talk about are millions of undocumented crossings. Okay? Asylum seekers coming into this country aren't undocumented. They're literally legal immigrants. All the entries of asylum seekers under the Biden-Harris administration are not calculated in or included in any figure of millions of crossings of undocumented immigrants because they're not undocumented immigrants.
Okay. So I have a question then. Those millions of people that came in, so explain to me, they just came to the border and said what?
Well, they didn't say anything. They entered undocumented.
Yeah, and that wasn't allowed under Trump.
And it was also illegal under Biden. And it's like 8 U.S. codes. 8 U.S. codes.
So why did Biden not follow the
1385.
law? Why did Biden not follow the law?
When you say why did Biden not follow the law, what do you mean? Because it's not Biden.
You
that would be
said it
breaking
was-
the law.
you said the
It's-
law was
It's
in
them
place.
that would be breaking the law. It'd be the undocumented immigrants that were breaking federal law and committing the misdemeanor. of
But under
undocumented
Trump,
entry.
you could not just come to the border and just walk in. Under Biden, you could. Biden changed
we
something
actually
that made
we
that.
actually had increasing undocumented entry under the Trump administration for the first 3 years of his term until COVID hit and Title 42 is implemented.
Okay. Well, it still wasn't the vast number that Biden led in, and I assure you that if the vast number.
But now you're shifting the goalposts. Now you're saying that the Biden-Harris administration had more undocumented entry compared to Trump's first term. I'm pretty sure that's true, right? But once again, the question was, what is the argument that Biden caused that additional undocumented entry? And that's something
Like
that you
I
don't
said,
have.
for the
And now you're just
for
going
the
to circle
third
right
time.
back. Now you're just
For
going to
the third
circle,
time.
and now you're just going to circle right back to the Remain in Mexico policy. But I've already described to you how the Remain in Mexico policy has no relationship or relevance to undocumented entry, as those that came into America as asylum seekers under the Remain in Mexico policy or after Biden abolished it were not considered undocumented immigrants and were considered legal immigrants. You're trying to use data concerning legal immigrants to argue an increase in undocumented immigration. But keep in mind, when I'm asking you, how did Biden cause an increase in undocumented immigration, your answer should have nothing to do with the Remain in Mexico policy, since that was a policy that only concerned legal immigrants.
Okay, so my question is, under Trump's first term, could an undocumented immigrant come to the border and Trump's administration would let him inside the country? That's my question.
It would let them inside the country?
Yeah, like Biden did. Would Trump's administration have let them in like Biden did?
So what did Biden do to allow undocumented immigrants to be let into the country?
You just said that under Biden, the undocumented immigrant could walk up to the border and Biden's administration was.
When did I say that? I was describing the Remain in Mexico policy and how that was.
I said because how the millions of people come into the country, and you said because they walked up to the border and they were let in.
No,
that's what you said.
That's not what I said.
Okay, so they came to the border and what happened? How'd they get inside?
They came to the border. They circumvented like border patrol agents, and they like quietly entered into the country, like unbeknownst to any of like.
Those would be
border
gotaways.
security.
What are you talking about? Those are gotaways.
So those are individuals that entered into the country illegally. Man, listen, I'm just going to go and clear this up. I've been asking you this question this whole goddamn time. You haven't been able to answer it. I'm going to give your very unintelligent ass one last chance to attempt to answer it. How did the Biden-Harris administration cause an increase in undocumented entry? This is your last chance to answer the question. Stop scrambling. Stop giving me the word salad and tell me how.
Because under Trump, when an undocumented immigrant came to the border, they were turned away. Under Biden, he let them in.
Okay, and how did he do that? What was the change in border policy that allowed that to occur?
I'm not sure the name of it, but it was something.
Wait, so if you're not sure the name of it, then how do you know it was something?
Because I know under Trump they were turned away, and I know under Biden they were let in.
So how do you know? How do you know that like Biden let them in? How do you know that he allowed them to?
Because I watched videos of it. I watched videos of them coming to the border.
So you're just saying that you watched these videos?
Yes, I saw millions of immigrants come to the border.
So if you were watching videos of millions of immigrants, you must have been watching videos for like a long time.
So that's your argument now?
Hey, let me just ask. Well, I mean,
You
actually,
stooped that low?
you're the one that stooped that low to tell me that you're watching videos.
Right. Well, under Biden.
Well, my friend, I just want to be clear. There's nothing for you to be right about, as you don't have an argument. You're just simply saying that this happened, and you know that it happened, even though you can't give an argument that it did happen. Okay, let me ask you one last question here. Let me ask you one last question.
I watched it happen.
Do you think that you did not watch millions of undocumented immigrants get let in by Border Patrol? Stop acting as if this is something that. Stop acting as if this is just something that should be accepted. Okay. Like, stop acting as if this is just something that we should just all believe you on. This is like the world's largest, trust me, bro. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think that the misdemeanor of undocumented entry into this country is sufficiently wrong to warrant removal from the country?
Yes.
Okay. So then why is 34 felonies in a civil adjudication for a grape case and 4 infractions and violations on our Constitution in the last 250 days not sufficient reason to warrant removal of Trump from the White House?
I mean, to be honest, it might be enough reason. Yeah.
Okay, well, is it or is it not in your mind?
I think it is, but I don't want it to happen because I don't want a Democrat in office. If we could remove him.
But here's the thing. Wait, now you're saying that you would prefer the 34-count felon rapist that has infringed upon our constitutional rights 5 times in the last 250 days to be president over the Democrat. But obviously, right, we would assume that the Democrat wasn't a 34-count felon. Obviously, we'd assume that the Democrat wasn't held civilly liable for a rape. Obviously, we'd assume that the Democrat wouldn't infringe upon your constitutional rights. That Democrat would have been Kamala Harris. And then keep in mind, this whole time, when I've been asking you about what Kamala Harris ran on that was so bad, you haven't even been telling me. You've just been like, but Biden. And I mean, it's just embarrassing for you. Like, what would Kamala Harris be doing right now that would be worse than infringements upon your civil rights and liberties?
She would co-sign the gender transition of minors.
Oh my God, dude. Dude, yeah, no, of course. There it is, folks. There it is. So not only did she run on no policy to do with trans individuals, but this was the 3rd largest place where the Republicans spent their money prior to the election. Yes, you were successfully scared into voting for the grapist, delusional, wannabe authoritarian that is taking your money and spending it on the brand new Department of War and to give billionaires additional tax cuts while destroying our country in the process, all because you think Kamala Harris would have done something that she never talked about, she never said, and that she explicitly didn't run on. You can't make this up. Like, at this point, if we want to accept your logic here, like, we could just say whatever we fucking want. Let's just make shit up. Reality doesn't matter anymore. Facts aren't important. Whatever we think is true, we could just emotionalize, that's a new word, emotionalize anything into existence, okay? So I want Kamala Harris to be president right now, not because there's anything about her I could say is too good, not because I could respond to any critiques of yours, but all because, I don't know, Trump would have dropped a nuke on France. What's my evidence for that? I don't have any. He didn't say he would. He didn't run on it. I'm just going to emotionalize that into existence to justify my own ignorance.
No, you picked one. I gave you one example, and you honed in on that one example and acted like that was the only one I had.
Yeah, well, we just basically disputed and debunked your silly ass example.
All right, because she didn't run on it in her campaign, which would have been a horrible campaign decision, doesn't mean that she does not support gender transition of minors. She does. She supports that, and I could never vote for anybody who supports that. Period.
So are you saying that she supports sex reassignment surgeries? How do you know she supports that?
She supports puberty blockers, etc., for minors.
Wait, so
that's all.
Earlier you said like changing their. So are you talking about sex reassignment surgeries?
I don't even know about that, but too, I'm talking about puberty blockers and other surgeries. Yes.
Okay, how do you know that she supports sex reassignment surgeries for minors?
Because I could show you examples. I don't have them in front of me.
Oh. See,
she
see what I mean,
she
man?
supports trans kids. I'll say that. Okay.
So once again, are you gonna give me like the evidence to believe she supports?
I don't have it pulled up. I don't have it pulled up on me, but I could probably. I could show you something that points to her supporting that.
Flea, I appreciate you so much for the animal ban. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So once again, you shouldn't support Donald Trump because he wants to nuke France.
And the thing is,
One second.
a lot of times
respond to my argument. You shouldn't support
Wait,
Trump
what?
because he wants to nuke France. He's going to do it tomorrow, unless you stop supporting him today.
if he was going to nuke France, I wouldn't want that to happen. I would stop supporting.
Exactly, and he is. So you should stop supporting him.
Wait, I haven't heard that news yet.
Yeah,
he
is. He's going to nuke France.
What's he upset with them about?
Well, I don't know. He said he's going to nuke him. He said he supports nuking him.
Okay. And are you?
Wait. You're going to stop supporting Trump now because he said he's going to nuke France, right?
Oh, not just because if he says it, but if he were to do it, I would. Yeah. I'm sure he's not serious.
Dude, I was just trying to use his own logic against him there, just to make some like absurd shit up about like the other party's champion, to argue why you shouldn't support them. And like the most absurd thing I could think on of the spot is saying that they are going to nuke one of our allies. So not only did this guy not like pick up on that, but he also said that he still supports Trump even if that were to be true. You're a member of a cult. You're a cult member. You are a cult member. How could you possibly ever support a president, even if they say they're literally going to drop a nuke on one of our closest benevolent allies?
Because he's not serious. That's why.
Oh my God, you're still not even tracking the logic.
He wouldn't be serious. If he was dead serious, saying I'm going to drop a nuke,
you're still not even dropping.
but-
Oh my God. Okay. He said he was dead seriously going to drop a nuke on France. That's why you shouldn't support him.
Well, if he was dead serious about to realistically drop a nuke on France, I would not support that.
Oh, he said, Donald Trump said, I am dead serious. I am going to drop a nuke on France. This is not a joke. This is not a troll. No, he said to take him seriously. He said to take him seriously. He said, I'm serious. No. He said, I am so super duper serious. Like, I'm actually, that's what he said.
Well, yeah. Well,
Why can't you take him seriously, even though he told you to take him seriously? He said, I'm seriously going to drop a nuke on France. I'm seriously going to do it. That's what he said.
Yeah. Well, I don't take anything he says seriously. So.
Wait, so then how could you take his campaign promises seriously?
I honestly didn't, and I know that most of them will not get.
Wait, I want to ask another question. If you can't take anything our president says seriously, how could you support them?
Because I ideologically am more similar to him than the other side.
But how do you know where his beliefs lie if you can't take anything that he says seriously?
He really doesn't have too many firm beliefs. I mean,
exactly. You're telling us that you ideologically align with him. How do you know you ideologically align with him?
Because I know at least that the people around him, will at least push for the things I support. And I do say he does flip flop, and he doesn't. I did say he doesn't stand
I'm just kidding. I don't really care about his answer. We're going to kick him. So, like, I mean, I was just trying to make, like, an example with the use of his logic just to say shit and envision it as true. But, like, he believed the example that I gave him. He didn't see that I was making an argument. And then he just went on to argue that, like, he still doesn't take anything seriously. What a fucking cult member, bro. That guy shouldn't have the right to vote. I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to voice my opinion. That guy shouldn't have the right to vote. Okay? That guy's a sheep. Holy sheep, dude. What's up, man? Oh, you got a little bit of an echo. I got to disconnect you. We're gonna move on to the next guest. Hop in that queue if you support Trump and you want to come up here and have a debate with me. We gotta kick that sheep out and move on to the next guest. Holy fuck, dude, unreal. Yo, Neon, I appreciate you for the $10 over on Super Chat saying, Dean, you need to be on GTA 6 Talk Radio. Dude, when is GTA 6 coming out? Speaking of the devil, when is that shit dropping? What's up, Lincoln? Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
Cool, man. Let me thank a couple people here before we hop into the debate. Super duper quickly, Naughty, thank you so much for the $15 donation over on Venmo. Thank you so much, Naughty. Naughty says, football team won, fantasy team won, and Dean grilling up MAGAs for lunch. Great week so far, if I do so say so myself. Well, it's good to see you, Naughty. I appreciate you for being in here, and thank you so much for the $15. You were based, as well as, dude... Jay, thank you so much for the $500 donation over on PayPal. Jay, that is fucking unreal. Thank you so much. That is so incredibly kind of you, Jay. I want to see 5,000 JWs down below in that chat, Jay. That is so incredibly kind of you. Like, holy fucking shit, that's so much money. Jay says, Dean, you are indeed a Superman of your generation who's not only afraid to fight for common sense, level-headedness, and truth to lies. Love always, dude. Yesterday, I matched this with Parker, telling him the same thing. Jay, I really appreciate you for your love and your support. You've been so kind and so generous, not just to me, but also to Parker, and both me and him really, really appreciate it. If everyone watching can please spam WJs in the chats for at least the next 10 minutes while we're hopping into this next debate, it'd mean the world to me. Jay, once again, thank you so much for the love and support. You were so awesome. And Lincoln, take it away. Why do you support Trump?
I support his border policies. I support his economic choices that he has made with recently, especially the one where he made the deal with the EU. Pretty much made over, I think it was $1.5 trillion. I think it was less than that, a little bit less.
Okay, so we've spent the last hour and 10 minutes talking about the border and immigration stuff. I think we're going to switch it up a little bit. Now, I do want to talk about his economic policies. So you just brought up some random trade deal with the EU. Well, those numbers are not being resembled within the economic data we're getting from the Federal Reserve. We actually see that investment into manufacturing is going down for the first time in 3 years, not to mention that the economy as a whole is not performing too well right now. In the last month of Biden's term, we added 285,000 jobs to the economy. Last month, we added 30,000. It was so bad that even Donald Trump's White House had to admit that the job numbers were down. For the first time in 7 years, we see that there's more unemployed Americans than there are job openings. We see that GDP growth is down by over 1% compared to where it was at last year. And I think a lot of this has to do with the terrible economic policy that Donald Trump passed in July of the big, beautiful bill, spending $4.5 trillion to make the poor poorer and the rich richer. Things aren't looking too hot.
I mean, I don't really agree with that. I mean, he did the no tax on tips. Was that in the big, beautiful bill? I'm not sure. Was it? The no tax on tips, it was?
Yeah, it was. And even when we factor in for no tax on tips and no tax on overtime for the next 2 years, we still see that according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, it is going to hurt everybody that makes at or beneath $51,000 per year more than it will help them.
How would it hurt them?
By doing things like defunding Medicaid. It is defunding Medicaid by $900 billion, kicking 10 million low-income Americans off and increasing the premiums by 75% for everybody else who is still on them, or defunding food stamps by $3 million, defunding the DOE, kicking 18 million school students off of free school student lunches, rolling back the clean energy credits offered under the IRA, which is projected to reduce clean energy production by 72%, reducing the overall energy supply in this country, which is expected to increase the price of energy for the average American household by $500 per year. These cuts and others are why the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, as well as the CBO, tells us this is going to hurt the average American and everybody below them.
I mean, I don't agree how he cut the Medicaid, but I don't agree with that at all. But I do. I mean, I get how he cut the food stamps. I mean, it's with how many people are living off the government at the moment, it is stressful on our economy. I do see that. I see how it's going to be harder, but I mean, how has his policies negatively affected your life personally? Like I
don't
haven't seen that anywhere.
I don't want you to goal shift here. You just told us that you do support 3 million people being taken off of food stamps. Why do you support that?
I mean, he didn't support 3 million people taking off food stamps. He defunded it. He didn't take away all the funding. He took away some of the funding.
Right.
I mean, there's still people who
$156 billion worth of funding. That's what he cut.
Yeah,
That's
because there's so many people living off
the
of food stamps that don't need it. That there's so many people that can get jobs that won't get jobs.
Okay, well, food stamps already has the work requirement on it. So that's not why people are losing them. They're losing them because they're literally losing funding. Now, he imposed the new work requirement on Medicaid, and that's what I disagree with.
Oh, okay. I don't agree with the Medicaid. I mean,
so you disagree with the work requirement?
Disagree with the what? Sorry, that?
With the work requirement.
Yeah, I agree with the work requirement. I think everybody should have to work to be able to get food stamps. Yeah.
No. For the last time, the new work requirement was not on the food stamps. It was on Medicaid. The reason why 10 million people are losing Medicaid is because of the new work requirement and cut in funding of $900 billion. Do you support that or not?
So you're saying that people have to work to get Medicaid? Is that what you're saying?
Now, yeah. If you're an able-bodied American and you can work, you got to work in order to receive Medicaid. And I disagree with that. What about you?
I don't. I completely agree with that.
So you think that
if you are able to work, then you should be working. That's just plain and simple.
I'll change your mind in about 30 seconds if you're good faith.
Okay, go shoot.
If you tell us that you're okay with people losing Medicaid if they're not working, if they're able to work, you're telling me that you think that essential social safety nets that save lives and make society better should have a work requirement on them. And if you think that essential social safety nets that save lives and make society better should have a work requirement on them, would you say that therefore calling the police should have a work requirement on it? Calling the firefighters should have a work requirement on it. Driving on public roadways should have a work requirement on it. All because these are essential social safety nets that either save lives or make society as a whole better off.
I mean, you kind of already do because you do already pay taxes. I mean, people pay taxes for emergency services and all that, and people pay taxes for roads and roadways and all public schools. People work for that. So technically, yeah, you do have to. I mean, there are people that are getting that without jobs, but I think you should have to work to be able to get those things. If you are able-bodied and you are able to work, yeah.
So if,
I don't get how
if
that's
an
a ridiculous
unemployed mother
statement.
of 5 is having her kids kidnapped, she shouldn't be able to call the cops to save her kids.
Well, why is she unemployed?
God.
I don't get that.
Oh my God. Dude,
How is that ridiculous?
Assume any reason. We can assume that she's unemployed because she just started developing some chronic condition that isn't considered.
Well, then
by
she's
the
not
social
able-bodied. Then she can apply for.
Allow me to finish fucking speaking. That is not currently considered by the Social Security Administration as a inoperable condition, such as like early stage pancreatic cancer in men. Or we could assume that she's not working because she's lazy. Why not? I still think that an unemployed mother of 5 that is only unemployed because she's lazy should still be able to call the cops if she's getting her kids kidnapped from her. What about you?
Well, if she's too lazy to work, then she shouldn't have the kids in the first place. I think that's a stupid argument. But
so are you going to answer the question? Should she be able to call the cops to prevent them being kidnapped?
Well, yeah, but I'm kind of lost on this one.
So there you go. You just told me that somebody that's unemployed because they're lazy, like you like to assume every unemployed person is, should still be able to call the cops and have access to that essential social safety net.
No, you just put words in my mouth. That is not true at all.
Dude,
I did not say that. I don't think every person that doesn't have a.
You're going on timeout. I'm putting you on timeout. because I'm very annoyed with you. Why am I annoyed with you? I ask you the question, should this unemployed mother of 5 be able to call the cops if her kids are getting kidnapped? You said yes. And then I was like, so you think somebody that's unemployed should have access to the essential social safety net of the police force? And then you said, no, you're putting words in my mouth. It is self-implied that she should have access to that social safety net, given that you think she should be able to call the cops. I'm not putting words in your mouth. That was your answer to my question. You're lucky I'm coming off of a 2-day break. See, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling lenient.
Okay, so I wasn't saying you were putting my words in my mouth in that aspect. So you said that I think all people that don't have jobs are lazy. That's what I was saying, that you put words in my mouth. That's what I was saying. I wasn't saying in the other, whatever else you were saying. I wasn't saying that.
Oh, I said like a lot of Republicans like to think, right? And that is true. A lot of Republicans do like to think that.
Yeah, but you said
whatever.
I said that, and I didn't say that.
I don't think I said that you said that, but let's just stick on the substance of the dialogue. Okay, I disagree. But let's stick on the substance of the dialogue nonetheless. Okay? This unemployed mother of 5, her kids are getting kidnapped from her. You said that she should be able to call the cops, meaning that you think unemployed Americans should have access to essential social safety nets, right?
Emergency services are different than food stamps.
Okay, so you'd say that she should only be able to access the cops in emergency circumstances. So do you think that an unemployed mother of 5 should be able to call the police and access a non-emergency hotline?
Give me a scenario. I'm trying to kind of visualize this.
A lot of vandalism can be considered non-emergency. Somebody parking in front of your driveway could be considered non-emergency.
Okay, one second. I'm thinking about this. I mean, that's other people could call the cops on that too. She could. I mean, I'm kind of out of the loss for words there. That's kind of a weird argument. I'm not really sure how to answer that one. But I'm just saying, and
exactly.
You should
exactly. The reason why you're not sure you should answer the question is because it's a very common sense example that refutes your idea here that low-income Americans shouldn't be able to access non-emergency social safety nets.
Well, it's just the scenario that you're putting. It just isn't realistic.
What? This is so realistic.
A jobless mother of 5 that is too lazy to work.
This is so realistic. I've personally done this. I've personally called the non-emergency hotline at my local police force in Boulder, for instance, when it was like 3 a.m. and the people living in the apartment above me were like fucking mobbing to Soulja Boy, right? I had school in the morning and I had a test. It was 3 a.m. They were still going. I called that non-emergency hotline to file a noise complaint, right? It's so realistic. It happens every day. This is not unrealistic. It's not. It is because people realistically need non-emergency police resources that every single police department in this country has a non-emergency hotline. Don't say that's not unrealistic. Come on, do better.
What I'm saying is unrealistic is that you said a single mother of 5 that is too lazy to work. That is unrealistic.
I thought that we are just now speaking generally about people that are unemployed. Just think generally. Unemployed. Should you be able to call the non-emergency hotline of the police force to report a crime?
Yes.
Okay, great. So then unemployed Americans shouldn't have to work in order to access non-emergency essential social safety nets like the police. So why should they have to work to access, in some cases, emergency social safety nets, like going to the hospital to get a skin dot checked out before it develops into stage 5 skin cancer?
I mean,
boom.
Like just public services and food stamps, that's a big difference. That is a huge difference. That's not really comparable. The only comparable thing about them
what is the
that
categorical what is the categorical distinction between offering a non-emergency hotline to access police resources, to make the governance of society better off, to make society better off as a whole, and low-income Americans being having access to Medicaid, to access like a general physician, go to an annual checkup, or schedule a doctor's appointment, given they have heart palpitations or skin dots that they think may be cancer, to seek and access preventative care to either save their lives or extend their lifespan?
Well, I mean, I think people should be able to get Medicaid, but I don't. I think if you're too lazy to get it, you should be able to get a job to have Medicaid.
Oh, remember earlier when you were telling me teen, you put words in my mouth. Don't assume I think all unemployed people are lazy. Now you're saying if you're too lazy to get a job. But in the first part of that sentence, you conceded because you said that, yeah, they should be able to access Medicaid. Thanks for the concession, man. I won. You lost. I said that you should be able to access Medicaid if you have a job. That's what I was saying, but you muted me. So then you didn't respond to my question. Do you need me to repeat my question? I will.
No, I was standing on my ground. I was
exactly. You were just repeating the original
wasn't
claim,
ignoring
not
your
responding to
question.
my question about your original claim. Yeah, you just explained how you pivoted and did not answer my question. So I'll re-ask my question.
I answered your question by going back to my original statement.
No, oh my God. No, you didn't answer my question by going back to your original statement, because what was my question?
Should people be able to access non-emergency public services while not having a job?
No, that wasn't my question. Holy shit, you can't track anything.
And what was your question? Repeat it then.
There you go. Okay, are you going to listen this time?
Go.
Okay, are you going to listen this time?
Yes.
Awesome. So why should people be able to access a non-emergency police line if they're unemployed to potentially make society as a whole better off, but they shouldn't be able to access medical resources such as Medicaid if they're unemployed to not only make society as a whole better off, but also to potentially save their life or extend their lifespan? I think that both of these two things, Medicaid for low-income Americans and police resources for anybody, would fall under the same category of essential social services.
Well, I think that there's a big difference between not like calling the cops because someone parked in front of your car and being able to get Medicaid. There's a big difference between that. There's a huge difference. Those things aren't comparable. I've already said that.
Would you say like the big difference is like possibly getting Medicaid is much more important than calling the cops to report vandalism?
No, those are just two completely different genres. They aren't comparable.
Can you tell me
it's just two completely separate things.
Do you think that it may, well, they're related in the sense that they're public resources funded by the taxpayer, and that is the relevant sense of the conversation that we're having. But answer my question, what's more important? Going to the hospital with heart palpitations that may inevitably develop into some type of heart condition if you're a low-income American on Medicaid, or calling the cops to report vandalism? Which one is more important for you and for society?
For Medicaid, but if you were able-bodied, you should have a job.
Wait, so now you're telling us that an unemployed American going to talk to a doctor because of heart palpitations is going to be significantly more important than calling the cops to report vandalism, but you think you should have to work in order to do the significantly more important thing of going to the hospital, but you shouldn't have to work to do the less important thing of calling the cops to report vandalism. Do you see how this is kind of hypocritical and backwards and twisted?
I mean, I don't really see that too much. I'd say that
the reason this is hypocritical,
medical services are a lot more expensive.
The reason why this is hypocritical, backwards, and twisted is because you're saying that you should have to jump through more hoops and meet more guidelines to do the more important thing than you should have to do the less important thing.
Okay, repeat that question one more time. Sorry, my sister was talking to me.
Dude, that wasn't a question. It was a statement.
Okay.
How am I supposed to have this conversation with you if you can't
repeat
track
that one more time?
What I say?
Repeat that one more time.
Okay.
Please.
So why do you think it should be significantly more difficult and more exclusionary to access the more important resources that actually save lives compared to the less important resources of spending the taxpayers' money on cops to, like, I don't know, answer to a vandalism call? Feisty with the $2 over on Venmo saying you are
police do save lives.
I'm specifically talking about a call for vandalism. Typically, calling the cops to report
I'd
vandalism isn't going to save your life.
I would say a cop coming over to get a guy stop spray painting your car is a lot different than you going into the doctor's office and getting checked out for heart palpitations. That's a big.
I'm going to go ahead and kick you now because every single time I got you in the corner, you just said there's a big difference, didn't explain yourself, didn't answer to my questions, and didn't, once again, acknowledge for the fifth time the sense of relation between these two things, of that being that they're essential social services funded by the taxpayer. We're going to go to move on to the next guest. Let's go to get that next guest loaded up into the live. I think that Lincoln just, it wasn't educated or intelligent enough to have that conversation. What's up? Do you support Trump?
Oh, sweet. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. Are you MAGA?
I sure am. Ultra MAGA, I'd say.
Ultra MAGA, Jesus Christ. Okay. Before we hop into the conversation, I'm going to go ahead and read off a few donations. Jennifer, thank you so much for the $20 over on PayPal. Jennifer with the $20 says, this guy doesn't understand the concept of sneaking. I don't know what, you're in reference to the first guest about undocumented entry. Yeah, he was fucking dense. Thank you for the $20, Jennifer. Let's get 200 Jennifer W's down below. That is incredibly kind of you. As well as Sandra with the $10 saying, keep up the great work of debunking all the MAGA lies. Thank you, Sandra, as well as it's good to see you again. I'd also like to quickly thank, let's see here, Jaden for the $10 on Venmo. Jaden says, keep doing what you're doing, man. Thank you. As well as Rebecca with the $5. You're awesome. Thank you so much. And then Annie with the $20 on Super Chat. Let's get 200 Annie W's. Thank you so much. Annie with the $20 on Super Chat says, careful, you're going to accidentally convince this idiot that unemployed people shouldn't be able to report vandalism. Dude, that's usually where it goes. As well as Feisty, thank you for the $10. Show some love to Feisty, show some love to Annie, show some love to Sandra, Rebecca, and Jaden. You guys are all awesome. Thank you guys so much for the love. Now, you said that you're ultra MAGA.
Yeah, I love Trump. I think he's amazing.
Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Sure.
Are you a patriot?
Patriot, absolutely.
Do patriots care about core American values like the Constitution?
Sure, but there's other values that are more important.
Can we agree the Constitution is like one of the important ones, though?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
But Constitution
so if you are
a living document, right?
If you are a patriot, and yes, and that's defined in the Constitution, therefore you'd care about that aspect of it as well. So if you're a patriot that cares about core American values, such as the Constitution, how could you possibly love a president that A, explicitly called for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution, and B, has been incessantly violating it since his first day in office, starting with Executive Order number 14160, that attempted to illegally strip the children of undocumented immigrants away from their right to birthright citizenship, given that they're born on American soil?
Well, you say Trump violated the Constitution, but as far as I understand, the Supreme Court hasn't yet ruled on birthright citizenship and whether or not our argument that the illegal parents aren't under our jurisdiction.
Okay.
Right?
So they ruled on...
it remains to be seen.
False.
It's false? You're saying the Supreme Court's already ruled on it?
Yes, they did. In 1898, U.S. versus Juan Kim Arthur, they ruled on birthright citizenship. And I find the important part of their ruling in 1898 to be the fact that the Chief Justices set forth very specific parameters for who was and was not subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Those specific parameters being exclusionary, basically saying here are the groups of individuals that are specifically excluded. Those groups of individuals being foreign diplomats, invading military forces from other countries, and Native Americans. Of course, the Native Americans was later fixed through federal law, but because undocumented immigrants don't fall into the other two categories specifically set forth by the Chief Justices as who is excluded, we could very easily induce that therefore they would be subject to the jurisdiction of the U.S. And this ruling was only repeated in 1987 in the Plyer v. Doe case, where SCOTUS ruled that undocumented immigrants are subject to protection under Section 4 of the 14th, that being the Equal Protections Clause. However, the Equal Protections Clause, just like the Birthright Citizenship Clause, only applies to people that are subject to the jurisdiction thereof, meaning that by second consequence, SCOTUS ruled once again in the 80s that undocumented immigrants are subject to the jurisdiction thereof.
So, Dean, you're a pretty honest guy. You don't really think that the Supreme Court has always ruled correctly in the past, do you?
Well, now you're shifting the goalposts because you told us originally that because they haven't made a ruling.
No, I'm not shifting the goalposts. I'm saying that
I'll explain
the
how you are.
current Supreme Court.
I'll explain
the
how
current Supreme Court.
I'll explain how you are shifting the
Right.
goalposts. Because your first claim against my statement that this EO is unconstitutional was that, well, SCOTUS hasn't ruled on the issue yet. I detailed to you how they have, and now that they have ruled on the issue, you don't concede that first point. You're shifting the goalposts and saying, although they have ruled on that issue, they're wrong.
No, they haven't ruled on this EO, right? And it's going through the courts, and it's eventually going to get to a Supreme Court that is dominated by MAGA. And surely you see that you're going to lose on this issue, right?
Okay, so you think that they have to rule on this specific executive order, even though they've ruled on the legality of other instances that would clearly define what the legality of this executive order would be. That's not how it works. For instance, if a school attempted to racially segregate their students tomorrow, would that be unconstitutional in virtue of Brown v. Board, which was a ruling made forever ago? Or do you think that this specific circumstance would have to be re-challenged in SCOTUS in order for us to clearly know if it's constitutional or not?
Well, it works its way up through the courts, right? And I doubt the Supreme Court would even hear that case, right? But it's clear that the Supreme Court is going to hear this case about the EO. And like I said,
would you say the reason why they wouldn't even hear that case is because they've already made a ruling on the legality of racial segregation in schools?
Well, I mean, there's precedent, so I'm not denying that there's precedent in the Supreme Court, but, it's a different world we live in. And then you talk about an invasion.
Okay. So you're saying, so then
you
you're
like
saying,
to call them undocumented.
So then you're
really
saying the
is an
reason why
invasion.
you know that this new racially segregated school would be unconstitutional is because of the precedent that has already been set forth by SCOTUS. That is my same argument for Trump's EO. I know this EO is unconstitutional because of the precedent already set forth by SCOTUS.
Now, who's moving the goalpost here? We were talking about the EO, about birthright citizenship, and now you want to bring in segregation. Let's talk about this EO.
Well, I just
right.
used
So
your
if you
responses.
just happen to come over to America,
You didn't hear what I just said. You didn't hear what I just said. I'll repeat it because you think I'm shifting the goalposts. Once again, you said that if there was a new racially segregated school tomorrow, you would know it's unconstitutional because of precedent that has already been set forth by SCOTUS, such as in the Brown v. Board case. That is my argument for why I know Donald Trump's executive order attempting to take birthright citizenship away from the children of undocumented immigrants born on American soil is unconstitutional because a precedent already set forth by SCOTUS, such as U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark in 1887 or Plyer v. Doe in 1987. That's my argument. It's unconstitutional because of the explicit wording of the 14th Amendment and precedent already set forth by SCOTUS.
well, I mean, that's your opinion, but ultimately the Supreme Court's going to rule on this again, and we'll see what happens. And whatever the ruling is, that's what we accept. And that's why Trump isn't a dictator. If the Supreme Court rules on something, he says, okay, we follow the law. In this case, we think we're going to win. You think we're going to lose? That's fine. But we see it as a matter of justice, too. We don't think that any, person can come. You would call them undocumented. I'd call them illegal. We don't think that you should be able to come to this country, have a kid, and suddenly then get to stay, and your kid becomes a citizen. It just strikes us as fundamentally unjust. We should have the ability to say what people are allowed to become Americans and what people aren't allowed to become Americans.
Can you give me a legal argument that the first section of the 14th Amendment, that being birthright citizenship, doesn't apply to them? Because the first thing that you said there was that you think that we do have a case. You think that SCOTUS will reinterpret it and rule that this is not constitutionally protected. Can you give me a legal argument to demonstrate that the children of undocumented immigrants born on American soil is not constitutionally protected? Because if you can't give an argument for that, then it's just purely rhetoric.
No, I'm giving you a value-based argument. So whatever the law is...
That's not how the Constitution works, my friend.
Well, sure. I mean, sure it is. I mean, the Constitution is a living document that represents the will of and the values of the American people. And what you're feeling right now with Trump winning is the American people standing up for American values that have been under attack for a long time. Chiefly, that Americans come first. Not Mexicans, not Canadians, not Europeans, not Asians, not Africans, Americans.
So you could be an African American, you could be an Asian American, you could be a Mexican American. Wow, that's a crazy concept, right? Something that a third grader could understand, but for whatever reason, you can't. And you also have a very fundamental misunderstanding here. If we want to change the Constitution to act in accordance with American values, that would be through an amendment in Congress. The goal of the Supreme Court is not to act in accordance with whatever values Americans hold to be the case. The goal of SCOTUS is to literally interpret the meaning of the values that have already been ratified into the Constitution. So if you want to argue that there is a very clear legal case here for the conclusion to be formed that they are not subject to protections under the 14th, you will have to give that to me. I have already given you very clear reason to believe that the children born to undocumented immigrants on American soil are subject to birthright citizenship due to the explicit wording of the first section of the 14th and precedent already set forth by SCOTUS and federal courts, ranging from 1887 in the U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark case, ranging to Plyer v. Doe in 1987, meaning where SCOTUS determined that they are subject to the jurisdiction of our country and that they do have equal protections under the eyes of the fourth section of the 14th Amendment, and all of the federal judges and circuit courts that have already ruled Donald Trump's executive order on the issue in early January was unconstitutional. So you will not be able to rhetoric your way out of this. You won't be able to suggest that, well, guess what? I just don't value their birthright citizenship, and I don't think they should have it. That's not a legal argument, my friend. This is identical, logically speaking, to a white supremacist suggesting a system of value that would place white people above black people, thereby arguing that if we were to have a president that re-legalized racial discrimination, it would be constitutional simply because they do not value the president set forth under the Equal Protections Clause of the 14th.
That's a wild analogy, but it does strike to the heart of the difference between MAGA and those who oppose MAGA, which is when we look at America, we see power as one of the primary values. That, a lot of people will say power corrupts and power's bad and all this kind of stuff, right? But when we look at America, we look at Manifest Destiny, we look at Louisiana Purchase, we look at, Revolutionary War, Civil War. We see American power as the foundation for American goodness. So, all this stuff about like birthright citizenship and the border and protectionist economic policies and all these sort of MAGA issues, it really comes down to making America as powerful as possible and then using that power. And, a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people want to play the victim. A lot of people want to say that, being weak and meek is the way to go. We don't see it that way. And that's why we love Trump, is because he's a winner. He's a powerful man. He knows how to enforce his will, on reality. And that's what we're trying to do with America. We're trying to enforce our will, which is a good will, an exceptional will, on the rest of the world. And it's going to happen whether people like it or not.
Exactly. So I just gave you a very clear legal argument to demonstrate that the children born to undocumented immigrants are subject to birthright citizenship. And then I even showed you the flaw of your own argument, because just a suggestion of your values doesn't change the Constitution. And you responded to that by saying that you want America to be as powerful as possible. So it sounds like you don't really care about the constitutionality of Donald Trump's executive order there. Just because it happens to align with your values, you're okay with it. So let me ask you a question.
Well, we know it's going to be constitutional
if you
knew
knew that it was strictly unconstitutional to deny the children born to undocumented immigrants birthright citizenship, would you critique that executive order of his?
Yeah, so if the Supreme Court says it's unconstitutional, then, then it's unconstitutional. We can't do it, right?
Would you support it if it was unconstitutional? Would you support Donald Trump exerting his will and power if it was unconstitutional?
Well, we'd have to find another way, right? We'd have to either pass an amendment or we'd have to find some other legal mechanism.
That's not what I asked you. How about this? Let me just contextualize this within something Trump did in 2020. In 2020, Donald Trump tried to dispose the voice and the vote of the people by an attempt to install himself for a second term by rigging the outcome of the election through his fake electorates plot. If he was successful within his fake electorates plot, would you still support him as president, even though he rigged the outcome of the election? Because he was just exerting his power?
Well, now you're not going to like my answer. Many of us believe that he won that election and that it was rigged against him, right?
Okay. Well, we can't really debate that here on TikTok because it is such an abundantly false claim that they'll take you down for it for misinformation.
I know. Yeah, we can't talk about that.
Right? Now, like assuming reality, which is that he didn't win. Keep in mind, there's no evidence for this. He, tried to convince 63 handpicked judges that he had evidence for it. They all told him no. Then, even like the 2000 Mules movie, the people that made that movie ended up admitting in court they had no evidence for their claims. But just assuming that I'm right here, that Biden had won the election, and Donald Trump was successful in his fake electorate's plot to rig it and steal it from him, would you be okay with that?
Well, no, of course. I mean, we believe in the law, right? So, I mean, I know that it might sound like MAGA doesn't believe in the law. All we're saying is that, hey, the Supreme Court's on our side, Senate, House, presidency. The people of America have spoken, right?
Wait, if
now,
you believe in
we
the
still
law,
have to do things according to the law.
If you believe in the law and you think that we should do things in accordance with the law, well, then my critiques of Donald Trump's first executive order, 14160, would be clear to you, and you would admonish Trump for that. You'd say that was bad for him to pass an unconstitutional executive order.
No, I mean, he's really helping define what the law is, right? So when the courts ruled against the birthright citizenship EO, right, it's not in effect, right? Like it's not like he's been pushing this through to the states and people being born to illegals right now are, lacking, citizenship, right? It's still, I mean, things are going on as they have before. It is working its way through the courts, and eventually we'll see what happens.
Well, exactly. Now you're saying that he did that to just get it clearly defined. Like I brought up, this was my first point to you forever ago. It was already clearly defined in the U.S. versus Juan case.
Well, it's going to be redefined, man.
Oh,
the Constitution's a living document, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Precedent is important, but precedent gets overturned. I mean, just look at Roe v. Wade, right?
Right. No, this is just
it happens.
This is just the cope. Like, basically what you're telling us is that it is nearly impossible for Donald Trump to do anything unconstitutional, because even if he does something that explicitly violates an amendment on paper or explicitly violates precedent that we already have set forth through SCOTUS rulings and federal circuit courts, it's not unconstitutional, because I think eventually SCOTUS will redefine our Constitution to be in alignment with what Donald Trump is doing. This is just all conducive towards the view that you want Donald Trump to be your dictator. Now, additionally, you additionally said that MAGA cares about the law. I don't think so. Donald Trump pardoned 72 people that were criminally convicted of assault on police officers on January 6th, called them patriots, and let them out of jail, even though they attacked our law enforcement inside of our country's capital during an attempted insurrection. He calls them patriots, lets them out of jail. Do you care about that? Do you critique him for that?
So you're skipping around a little bit, but so on your first point about an executive order that you say is unconstitutional, I would say it would be unconstitutional if the courts rule against us and we do it anyways, right? That would be breaking the law. But on your second point about the pardon power, I mean, you can critique the fact that, the president has the power to pardon, like that idea. And I might go along with that. I might say, the power of pardon is too much, but it's not illegal what he did, and it's not illegal what Biden did and what all the presidents before them did, right?
So now you're arguing
it's not illegal.
You can't disagree with it because it's legal. Did you know that sometimes legal things can be morally wrong? like this is just me pointing out hypocrisy between the values that you're suggesting and the actions of Trump, right? You said that MAGA cares about law and order, yet we have a president that is letting violent offenders out of jail. Right? You can't just simply respond to that in defense and say this isn't hypocritical because what he did was legal. Not at all. It would have also been legal for Trump to say that he literally doesn't care about law and order. So imagine that you say MAGA cares about law and order, then I critique that by bringing up the fact that Donald Trump said he didn't care about law and order. Then your response would be, well, it was legal for Trump to say he didn't care about law and order. The fact that that was legal doesn't inform me of anything relevant to why it's not hypocritical compared to what you're saying. The same way your response by saying it was legal for him to pardon people like DJ Rodriguez who try to kill cops on the Capitol doesn't inform me with any response whatsoever into the fact that this is very hypocritical given your prior suggestion on how you think MAGA stands for law and order.
No, you're conflating two things, right? So the first part is that you were saying he was doing unconstitutional, illegal things, right?
Oh, I'm not conflating these 2 points. These are two separate points. So I just want to clarify that the point here is in relation to you saying that MAGA cares about law and order, not in relation to my first point that he's doing unconstitutional things. It's obviously not unconstitutional for him to pardon DJ Rodriguez. It is just in a double standard in relationship to your statement that MAGA cares about law and order. But go ahead and finish. I just wanted to clarify.
So if we're talking about what MAGA cares about, then you actually have to put yourself in MAGA's shoes for a second, though. So I just told you what we think about the 2020 election. Now, we don't need to dive into that because of TikTok, right? But you can imagine how we would feel about those people on J6, right? I know people who were there, right? My feelings toward them are probably very different than your feelings. So you can't really accuse MAGA. You can accuse MAGA of being dumb, or you can accuse MAGA of being deluded, but you can't accuse us of being hypocrites on law and order when we have a very different opinion of those who participate in J6.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Does our opinion differ in the fact that DJ Rodriguez broke the law when he tried to kill Officer Fanone?
Well, I mean, breaking the law. America has a long history of civil disobedience, don't we? Now, as far as like people taking it too far,
can I get a yes or no? Can we be in agreement on the fact that DJ Rodriguez broke the law when he tried to kill Officer Fanone?
Well, if a pardon would make no sense if he didn't break the law, right?
Right. So we can agree to that. So we could agree that DJ Rodriguez stand in opposition of law and order, right?
Yeah. So I don't know that particular guy. I do know some other J6ers, right?
Can you answer
I guess
my
what
question?
I'm saying is,
I just want you to be clear. Can we agree that when
order.
DJ Rodriguez tried to kill Officer Fanone, then pled guilty to it and was sentenced to 12 years in jail, that he stood in opposition of law and order?
No, I mean, if you really want to get down to the way we'd see it, it'd be more like collateral damage, right? The point wasn't to assault police officers. The point was to stop a stolen election, right? A patriotic duty of courageous Americans who are willing to stand up for, against a rotten system.
Exactly.
So,
okay. So this is the conclusion of your argument. DJ Rodriguez was fighting for law and order when he tried to kill a police officer.
I don't think it was. Well, actually, I don't know who this particular guy you're talking about is.
Dude, that's the conclusion of your position. That is literally the conclusion of our friend down here position is that DJ Rodriguez was fighting for law and order when he tried to kill Officer Fanone, right?
Look, let's say in 2028 you believe Trump, wins another election, right? Would you be part of a group?
We're gonna go ahead and move on. Sorry, bruh. I think I did my job there. I think that's about as well as the job as I could have. Reducing the guest down to saying that DJ Rodriguez was fighting for law and order when he tried to kill Officer Fanone. Let's go to move on to the next guest. Hop in that queue if you support Trump. We'll get you up here. Oh boy, these guests today are something, let me tell you. Hey, Annie, I appreciate you so much for the $20 over on Super Chat. That is incredibly kind of you. And he says, this guy's polished delivery and cartoonish rhetoric have me wondering if he's playing a character. Well, let me actually tell you. So that's very popular for people like on the fringe right to like try to have like a nice delivery to what they say, because that's about all they can have, because the actual words they're saying are kind of crazy. I mean, we see that in other figures too, like Nick Fuentes, for instance, trying to be like really rhetorically strong to sound good because what they're actually saying is so bad. As well as BP, appreciate you for the $20 super chat, saying this guy is horrific. Is he from the Heritage Foundation? Maybe, who knows? Appreciate you for the $25 BP and the $20 Annie. Show some love to BP and Annie down below in that comment section. We're going to move on to the next guest right now. Do give us a minute while we're working on getting that next Trump supporter loaded into the box. We're going to go and get them up here literally right now. Hop in that queue if you support Trump. We'll get you connected. Hop in that queue if you support Trump. We're going to go and move on right now. All right, here we go, guys. In the meantime, while we're trying to get that next guest connected to the stream, double tap on that phone screen and share away. All right, we're moving on to that next guest right now. Guys, I'm doing something right now. I swear it is very important. I swear it's very important what I'm doing right now, you guys. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing here in a second. Just know that it is very, very, very important. There we go. We finally got one. So if you're curious what I was just doing for the last 45 seconds, I invited every single person I saw in the chat that said guess one. And we got one of them to join. I invited like 25 people. One person joined. Hey, what's going on, man? How old are you?
I'm 18.
And what year were you born in?
2005.
Okay. And how did that last guest win the debate? I got him to concede that apparently standing for law and order means trying to kill cops.
He had multiple points that he won. And
Can you name
just
one?
because the points where he made like different decisions that MAGA makes than what you guys make.
Could you name like one clear point that he made that he won on?
The sorry.
No.
I'm a bit sick.
Can you?
Would you give me a minute?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what you guys like clearly talked about.
Yeah.
But I had a lot to agree with.
Okay.
With what he said.
Could you name one clear point that he won on? No. Okay. All right, you have a good one. Yeah, the chat brings up a good point. Honestly, I wasn't even listening to the year he gave me when I asked him. He said 05. I should have been listening closer. You can't be 18, born in 05. What's up? Do you support Trump?
Oh my God, I did actually not think you were going to accept that. My bad.
No worries. I guess we're going to move on to the next guest. The my bad sounds like he doesn't actually want to debate. Hey, Christina, thank you for the $20 over on PayPal, saying for knowing the difference between facts and opinions. Christina, that's incredibly kind of you. Thank you for the $20. Thank you so much for the contribution to what we do here.
I love to watch you, Dean. You're my favorite.
Okay, 5 out of 10 troll. You're like an adult pretending to be a kid. 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10. Kind of odd. Moving on. We're going to get that next guest up in here right now. Let's get to it. Christina W. Down below in that comment section for the 20. That is incredibly kind of you. Once again, thank you. As well as Libby. Thank you for the $20 on Venmo, saying I'm late to this debate, but are naturalized citizens not Americans? Apparently not. Thank you for the $20, Libby. Let's get 200 Libby W's, as well as Kim for the $20. Kim says, my son was on food stamps temporarily while working, trying to get a leg up. I have a homeless friend who's 100% disabled. We're going to go and finish this message right now. I have a homeless friend who's 100% disabled, and he receives the lowest rate of EBT because he apparently, quote unquote, makes too much. I'm annoyed with Trumpers who say people who need help are those that are lazy. Yeah, in capitalism, just because you make less money doesn't mean that like you're less lazy or more lazy. Like for instance, I'd say that like a school teacher probably like works harder than like Barron Trump. Yet Barron Trump's net worth is significantly higher than that of a school teacher. Good question. No, it is not. It is an anxiety pin. Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
I see it.
One. We're going to move on to the next guest right now. We got Luke loading up into the box. Here we go, folks. Once again, if you want to support me, you can find my Venmo, my PayPal, and the link tree in my bio. I get 100% of all the proceeds over there. They go straight to me. And I really appreciate you guys so much for the love, as well as Kelsey. Thank you for the $7 on Venmo, and Jody with a 5. Thank you guys so much. What's up? Do you support Trump?
Yes, sir, I do.
And how old are you, Luke?
I'm 18, born in 2007.
Okay. And why do you support the worst president of your 18 years of life? Let's hear it.
Well, just to start off, I grew up in a Republican household. So obviously as an 18-year-old, I'm obligated to my own opinion. And I believe that I am not super educated in politics. And I do really like watching you, Parker and Charlie. I watch all three of you. And I honestly like all of the points you guys make. And sorry if I'm a little spotty. I'm here doing an essay for my college course. So yeah, I've grown up in a Republican household, and that's really all I've like had to go off of until I've just started doing my own research. And obviously I'm influenced. I live in the state of Oklahoma, so of course an all red state. Kind of have no choice for my opinion, whether I vote or not, just because, it's an all red. But
so
I would
do you have any like compelling reasons why Trump is a good president?
I mean, to be honest, it's more of me liking Trump than me liking Kamala.
Yeah.
So I just really, and like, I'm assuming like the points that I make, you're probably just going to.
Yeah, listen, bro.
inform me.
Listen, bro. I'm gonna be honest. I think that you would benefit more from like watching the live and hearing me out for my points compared to debating me on the live, because it seems like, in all reality, like you don't have compelling reason to support Trump, and it's just kind of onset by like your family in the society where you live. So if you want to make a point why Trump is a good president, feel free to make it. But if you don't do that soon, I am going to move on to the next guest with no disrespect towards yourself. In fact, I'd humbly request you to probably watch the live.
Yeah, of course. And I appreciate your honesty. I would like to ask you a question if you'd be willing to answer.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So I've just seen multiple things on different news sources about how when Kamala was running for president and doing her campaigns, that she would change like the way she talks and the way she acts for different states. I'd like to just get your opinion on that.
Yeah. So what you're going to be referring to, I think, is going to be It's been a while since I've had this conversation. I forget what it's called. Code. What is it called? Y'all gotta help me. Code switching. There we go. Code switching. And what code switching is the fact that for many Black Americans, there's this thing called AAVE, which is African American Vernacular English. AAVE has a lot of ties to the transatlantic slave trade, and AAVE is something that is looked at by white Americans as uneducated, as ghetto, as stupid, right? When in all reality, it is just as valid of a vernacular as the vernacular that I'm speaking in right now. But because of the stigmas that surround AAVE, a lot of Black individuals will even do this subconsciously. When they're speaking in front of a predominantly white audience, they will not speak in AAVE. But when they're not speaking in front of a predominantly white audience, they will speak in AAVE. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, with everything that I've heard, a lot of Black people code switch. It is very typical for Black people to do. Everyone does it. It's just it's a byproduct and a consequence and a creation of a society that has racism in it. And I don't think that it's fair for you to judge or stigmatize Kamala Harris for this.
No. I'm not judging. I was just trying to get your opinion on that because I've seen that about a lot on my feed and on the news sources. I would also like to ask, unless you would like to give me an answer or give me a question. I'd like to add, we can move on.
At this point, unless you have a reason why you support Trump, I am going to move on to the next guest.
I do. I do.
Let's hear that reason, my friend.
So obviously I'm an 18-year-old. I'm looking for, I'm in college. So I'm potentially going to look for a partner, a house soon, apartment, whatever. And the prices of buying a house were lower in Trump's presidency than Biden-Harris presidency. So that is kind of important to me.
Okay.
Just for the
the thing is that this is just going to be a creation of being uninformed. Kamala Harris ran on policy to make houses more affordable. She literally wanted to give you $25,000 to buy one, which wouldn't have only helped you, but it also would have helped incentivize more demand for houses as a whole, which would have caused more development. Official projections tell us that 48 million new houses would have been built in the next 4 years. She also wanted to limit mega corporations from buying single-family homes. Now, in consideration of those facts, it should have been significantly better for you, especially considering that when you do buy a house, you'll be a first-time home buyer. Than Trump, who has no housing affordability policy and is actively fighting to make them more expensive due to the fact that we get a lot of the raw materials to build these houses, like tile, steel, etc., from places like Mexico and Canada, which are now tariffed. Yeah. Consider that, Luke. I would recommend kind of looking into those things. I do appreciate you for coming up, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. And seriously, just because, maybe the best place for you right now isn't on live talking to me, doesn't mean that it's not a good place for you to be watching the live. I think that you could take a lot away from just listening to the debates. What's up, Diego? Do you support Trump?
What's up, man? Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
the whole chat was asking for you. Are you MAGA's champion today?
No, I'm not. I was rage debating the entire chat just to ask you one simple question.
Okay, well, give me a second here. Kristen, thank you for the $10 over on Vimeo. Sorry, not Kristen, Christian. Christian with the $10 says, hope you enjoyed your break. It was a birthday week as well. Yeah, dude, the break was awesome. It was very needed. Thank you for the $10, Christian. Everybody watching, show some love to Christian down below. As well as Anthony, thank you so much for the $5 over on PayPal. That is very kind of you. Shout out to Christian and Anthony down below. Now, you said you wanted to ask me one simple question. I'm here looking for a debate. So do you want to debate me?
It's just one quick question that I really do want to know about.
Okay, well, I mean, I would prefer you to tell us why you support Trump. Do you not want to tell us why you support Trump?
What?
Like, you could ask a question if we follow your question with a debate.
Oh, well, it would be nothing towards like Trump or anything. It would be specifically towards you.
Well, yeah. Well, then, I mean, I'd like things to stay relevant. So, Diego, why don't you tell us why you support Trump?
I actually don't know. I'm being completely honest. I actually don't know.
All right, Diego, you have a good rest of your day, my friend. The stakes are high, dude. People are dying, and I wish that was a joke. People die when they don't have access to healthcare. He cut off the healthcare access for 10 million people. I can assure you that at least one person is going to die because of that decision. Okay? Right? People are dying. The stakes are high. It is worth being informed. Holy shit. Let's go to move on to the next guest. What's up, B. Ron? You support Trump?
I do.
B. Ron, you really shouldn't do that. He's a terrible guy. Terrible president, too. No. MAGA is bad.
Why is he a terrible guy?
I mean, he's boasted about perving on naked teens and naked women unconsensually while they're like getting dressed. That's a good start. That makes him a really terrible guy.
So what do you think about the economy under Biden? I know you're younger, so you don't really know about his first term during 2016 and stuff, but what do you think about that? I mean, the economy was absolute crap. Harris, rage baiting. I mean, it was nonstop feuding.
Yeah. Are you eventually going to get around to responding to what I said?
What was your question?
My friend, I didn't ask a question. You asked a question. You asked what makes him a terrible guy, and I answered it.
Okay.
Well, I'll wrap it back in. At some point in our conversation, I'll wrap it back in. Whatever.
Wrap it back in.
Tony, thank you for the star map. Hey, you just told us that the Biden-Harris administration did a bunch of bad for the economy.
Exactly.
I'll ask a question now. What is one bad thing that they did to the American economy? What was one bad economic policy they passed?
One bad are mandated vaccines.
Who did they mandate vaccines
for? You know how many people lost
Who did they mandate vaccines for?
You know how many people lost their jobs and got kicked out of the military because of their mandated vaccines?
Wait, jobs in the military, like for the most part, like are not economically productive. As well as
a lot of soldiers.
As well as the fact that we saw that unemployment rates continued to go down under the Biden-Harris administration. And the highest unemployment rates that we saw, onset by the pandemic, was in April of 2020 at 14.8% under Trump's first term.
So you completely muted me as I was,
because you're interrupting me
on that. But no, a lot of service members got removed from the military because of Biden and Harris's vaccine mandate.
I think I agreed with the vaccine mandate. It's pretty
Trump did.
Vaccine mandate was a W for the military.
Trump did reinstate those members who wanted to go back into the service without getting the vaccine that they are able to get in.
Right.
That's fact.
So point number one, could you tell me like how many people were like fired from the military because they didn't want to comply and get the vaccine?
I can't give you an exact number. No, I know there was.
Okay. All right. That's where your point fails. That's really important.
Do you have it?
No.
I mean, you're the one that gets
I don't know.
paid
I think it's what? I get paid by the CDC?
The DNC.
Oh,
I said.
No. I don't get paid by the DNC. What a cope. Why are you crying?
So I'm not crying at all. What's the number? I mean, what's the number? I'm sure you have it.
We could get back on topic in 1 second. Why do you think I'm paid by the DNC?
Come on, man.
Yeah, I answered the question.
It's pretty obvious.
What is the obvious answer?
That you're not paid? I mean, didn't
No,
they
that I am
release-
paid. Give me the obvious evidence that I'm paid by the DNC. Let's hear it.
You were literally on their pay sheet.
I'm
You
on
were
the-
literally
what do you-
there was
what
a
the-
pay log.
there's a pay sheet
where
of the
funds-
DNC?
there was literally for the campaign a list. You're telling me there wasn't a list?
Can I see the pay sheet for the DNC?
How am I going to show you it?
Nicholas, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo for the CDC paycheck. Thank you for the love, Nicholas. Let's get 100 Nicholas W's. I listen, a pay sheet from the DNC sounds like some bullshit made by some MAGA droid on Twitter. I'm gonna be honest. Did you find this on Twitter?
Absolutely not. I don't have a Twitter.
I find that. Where did you find it? Some Telegram group chat?
No, I mean it was multiple. It was going around multiple news sources, especially when you guys were kind of going pretty big. The four of you guys were going pretty big with the Harris campaign and things like that, and you guys were getting paid trying to use social media to persuade people in your age group to.
Wait, so you're saying I got paid by the Harris campaign, right?
No, it was the DNC. I mean, the DNC funded the Harris campaign.
So I got paid to help Harris win the election?
But do you agree that you guys...
Yo, Kelsey, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo from the DNC. There's my DNC paycheck. Thank you, Kelsey. Yo, dude.
Do you agree?
As well as,
Do you
let's hear
agree that
Lori.
you
1 second, I'm still getting paid by the DNC. Lori, thank you so much for the $50 super chat over on YouTube. Saying, Dean, here's $50 from the DNC. Thank you so much, Lori. Show some love to Lori down below in that chat for the 50 from the DNC. As well as Gabriella with a $5 on PayPal from the direct deposit from the DNC. Look at this. I am getting paid. Excuse me. I am getting paid by the DNC. All that DNC money is coming in right now.
Okay.
So once again, what's the pay sheet here? Tell me a little more.
You completely interrupted to sit there and read a whole bunch of crap. I mean, that's what you do when you start to get whooped and you start to do something. You either mute, change the subject, or distract to get you completely off of topic.
I was just thinking, well, actually, it was on topic because you were accusing me of getting paid by the DNC, and then I was thanking my payments from the DNC. About on topic as you could get, my friend.
Man, the way you twist things is absolutely crazy. It's crazy.
I'm twisting it. I just twist everything. Dalia, thank you for the shiny air balloon. As well as Christine, thank you for the $5 on Venmo for the DNC page sheet. And as well as Wendy, thank you for the $5. Kelsey with the $10 on Venmo from the DNC. Jillian with a 1. Then Nicholas, thank you so much for the 10. That is very kind of you. And Kim, thank you so much for the $20 from the DNC. Show some love to Kim down below. Let's get 300 Kim W's. As well as Tierra, that is TIERRA with a $30 donation over on PayPal. As well as Tierra, I just read your message. Thank you so much for your kind words there and appreciation of what we do here. I want to thank you for being here. And chat, please show some love to Tierra down below. As well as Cloud, thank you for the $20 over on Venmo saying daily cash out from the DNC. Dude, we're getting paid good today. Thank you for the love, Cloud. DNC, thank you, Cloud. Show some love to Cloud down below in that comment section. Thank you so much. Actually, we're going to have my DNC buddy join us for a second while I am using the restroom. He'll talk to you for around 30 seconds here while I am taking a biological bathroom break in the bathroom funded by the DNC. They got me set up in there. Nice bathroom. Nice DNC bathroom. Nice DNC bathroom. There is a golden framed picture of Biden on top of the toilet. Oh, and then Trump's face is on the toilet paper. Welcome in, my DNC brethren. I'm going to be right back.
Wow,
I'm gonna go pee. BRB, guys. I'll be back in like 60-second stops. BRB.
What's good, everyone? Welcome in. I'm DNC paid co-host sponsored stream. What's good, everyone joining in? The DNC had to pay me about $1 million to join the stream right now. So how you doing, B-Ron? What's good?
Pretty sure it was 250,000.
No, it was actually $1 million. You're getting it wrong, buddy.
No, it was definitely 250,000.
It was $1 million.
Campaign. Okay.
Wait,
Okay.
Ron, I have a question. Where did you see this information that Dean was paid by the DNC?
Well, it was you, Dean, Harry, and a couple of other.
And what makes you think that, Ron?
Call you influencers.
What makes you think that?
What makes me think what?
That we're paid by the DNC. Where'd you get that information?
There's literally their funding sheet was all over. I mean, and it had
what funding sheet? Where is this at?
I forgot the company.
Really?
That it was under. It was an entertainment source that you guys were under.
An entertainment source. Well, I just want to let you know.
That was your management.
I don't have a management company. So how did you find that I was affiliated with a management company when I don't have one?
I mean, it's easy to say it now because you guys are going to deny it because.
Wait, no, I'm serious. I've literally never had a management. Wait, hold up. I just want to let you know. I've never had a management company. So the idea that you said that I was one of the names is actually hilarious because I've never once had a management company in my life. And by the way, Wendy, thank you so much for $5 for the DNC. Thank you.
Management company. Okay, so let me take a guess. I've been gone. Obviously, I was using the restroom. If I had to guess, now he's shifted the goalpost from saying that I'm funded by the DNC to saying that I work under a management company, and then somehow that means I'm funded by the DNC?
No, he said me, you, Harry, Chris, we're all paid by the...
Oh, we lost Barker. The DNC cut his mic. He was divulging too much information.
Yeah, the DNC just cut out my mic. Too much information. Yeah, so he said that we're paid by the DNC $250,000, and he saw this all over the payment sheets, and he's like, it's associated with some management. I'm like, dude, I've literally never been affiliated with a management company. Please explain to me how you saw me on this list.
Yeah, listen, I have a... Oh, I think it's gone now. I have a management company. They help me read my emails. They help schedule me to go to in-person events, show up on different podcasts. Sometimes cool deals. Right now I'm running a deal with Ground News over on Instagram. Right? How does that mean I'm paid by the DNC?
The management company that was listed on their funding sheets, you guys were associated with.
So I'm associated with Pallet. They're my management company, but they don't pay me.
And were they funded by the DNC?
Think about it this way. How do they stay in business? Do they pay their influencers or do their influencers pay them? Now you see it. It makes sense, right? They're doing a service. Listen, they're doing a service for me, right? And in a functioning capitalist market, if you do a service for somebody, do you pay them or do they pay you?
So basically, they were getting paid and then distributing the money to you guys to do them a service.
Oh,
is that what you're saying you were doing?
So now you're saying that they're doing a service for me and they're paying me so they could do a service for me? What kind of business model is that? Oh, we're gonna go out. We're gonna do a bunch of services for a bunch of people, and we're gonna pay them so we could do the service. That's not how it works.
You're gonna sit on live and you're gonna spew a whole bunch of BS, and then when people start to call you out on your BS, then you want to circle around and spew out, where'd you get those numbers from? How many people got kicked out of the military?
Being associated with a management company does not mean you're paid by the DNC. What you're essentially saying is he's paying someone paid by the DNC. That's not him being paid by the DNC, you idiot. Secondly, if you want to look at this, you said that you saw me on these different sites. I've never once been affiliated with a management company. So even if what your statement was true, that was meaning that you was paid by the DNC, it wouldn't indicate that I was paid by the DNC. And therefore, you saw this off some random thing on Twitter. Right, you see something AI on Twitter and you think it's real. He's the guy that goes on Twitter and he saw the AI picture.
I don't have a Twitter.
Me, Dean, Harry, literally in the AI clothes, the fucking ones that the conservatives made, and he thinks that's real. That's this guy, dude. That's his source for information.
People still comment that. As well as Catherine, thank you for the $20 super chat. That is very kind of you, Catherine. Everybody, please show some love to Catherine. Catherine says, have you seen the photo of Trump with a PILL in his teeth at the US Open? I have seen that. Yeah, what the fuck? Dude, what is that PILL? Super strange. As well as Joe, thank you for the $10 on super chat saying, I think he thinks that Dean and Parker are Brian, Tyler Cohen, and David Pacman. Well, that's the chorus stuff. Yeah, we're not involved with the chorus stuff. However, right, my thoughts are interesting on that. As well as, let's see here. Phantom, thank you for the $10 right now. I appreciate you so much for the love. Thank you, Phantom. Show some love to Phantom down below. As well as Libby for the $10 over on Venmo, saying the DNC pay sheet was supposed to stay concealed. I know. My information got leaked, dude. Oh, no. Now everybody knows that I'm paid $1 billion per year by the DNC. As well as Sarah for the $5. Morgan with the $5.
Okay.
And then Salvador with the $5. And Ardens with the $5 over on PayPal. I appreciate you guys so much for the love. Thank you.
Cloud with the $20 from the DNC. Thank you so much, Cloud. Can we get some W's for Cloud in the comment section? Libby with the $10 and Nicholas with the $10. You know, the DNC money is coming in right now. By the way, Ron, I have a question. Was it $250,000 each or like separated? How did we get this money?
Yeah, it was $250,000 each.
Oh, goddamn.
Each? Where did? By the way, the claim that you're referencing isn't even $250 each. I just want to let you know. But the secondly, like,
so you do see it then?
No, I've seen the claim from other people. This is specifically a claim that was originally just about Harry and Chris, had nothing to do with me and Dean, and then somehow people are associating with me and Dean simply just because in the past we were friends with Harry and Chris. That's literally it.
Yeah, like so the claim is that like Pallet legitimately received like $200,000 from the DNC in like 2020 because they also have a marketing side. They have a bunch of really smart people that run ad campaigns. The DNC paid them $200K to run an ad campaign. That's pretty typical. And then just because they also have an influencer management side, they then basically associated that with Harry getting paid. And now because I'm signed with Pallet 5 years later, now you're basically associating that with me getting paid. But be Ron, listen, this is getting a bit boring. Bunch of people have leave. Give an argument for why you support Trump, or you're gonna get pushed, and we're gonna move on to the next guest.
I told you I support Trump because the economy is better under Trump than it is under the Biden and Harris campaign.
Name one metric.
Wait, actually, ring. 1 second, I'm getting a call. Who's this? Oh, it's Biden. 1 second, Biden is... So actually, you're wrong. In the second quarter of this year, 52% of S&P 500 companies reported lower profit margins than they did in Q1. And Q1 wasn't pretty either. We actually experienced an economic downturn where GDP got smaller. Okay, not to mention that long-term unemployment is at an all-time high since 2017 in his first term. And for the first time in like 10 years, today, we now have more unemployed Americans than job openings. Not to mention that according to the Federal Reserve, our GDP growth is down to 1.4%. Parker, I appreciate you so much for coming up. Thank you so much for covering me. From 2.5% last year. Every relevant macroeconomic data point is worse off today than it was last year, including but not limited to general unemployment, long-term unemployment, job openings compared to unemployed Americans, job growth, inflation, GDP growth. It's all doing worse, my friend. You're just spewing a bunch of malarkey. Okay? Right?
I'm spewing malarkey because I'm living every day. I go out, I see people and how they're living now compared to how they were a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. It's completely different. What's the price of eggs? How much have the eggs dropped? How much is
eggs have actually gone up by $1 since January, according to BLS.gov. Go to Google, type in grocery prices, Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is run by one of Donald Trump's Heritage Foundation dudes.
An 18 count of eggs was over $7.
Wait, I have a question.
$7.
Do you think that your local grocery store is a macroeconomic data point? No. Okay? Where do we get the macroeconomic data points from? Places like the Bureau of Labor Statistics or the U.S. Economic Bureau. Okay? Once again, if you go to Google and you type in grocery prices, BLS, you could go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics website where they've been tracking the grocery prices. And what you will see is that the price of eggs today is around $1.10 higher than it was in January when Donald Trump was inaugurated.
I don't think that's true, but
I just gave you the source. You can't refute that, my friend.
I'll look at that source and I'll check that out. Another thing is the housing. The interest rate on housing. I bought my house and I have a 2.9% interest rate. People, when the housing market was going crazy and realtors were making tons of money, people were scooping up houses that should have been $90,000 to $100,000 for $350,000 at a 8% interest rate.
You can't make this up. You can't make this up. When was the last time the Feds cut the interest rates?
When was the last time they cut it?
Yeah.
They just cut it, didn't they? 6 months ago.
The last time they cut the rates was in December of 2024 when Biden was president.
Okay.
So you're telling us that you support Trump's economy because of lower interest rates. The last time we had lower interest rates was when Biden was president.
He just got in. And did they not just deny that they weren't going to lower the interest rates? He's about to right now.
Wait, I thought you told me that your life has already gotten easier in the last 8 months.
150%. 150%.
Name one macroeconomic data point that is better.
There's more people traveling. I mean, what were you going to say?
Name one macroeconomic data point that has gotten better.
I would say that. I mean, I don't know. I would say that he's working right. I would say right now he's working on. He just announced that he's going to do the housing crisis. That he's going to make that. He's going to start taking care of that. Start to drop the interest rates because for some reason they don't want to drop the interest rates.
None of these are macroeconomic data points. Saying that Donald Trump took care of the housing crisis is not a macroeconomic data point that's gone better in the last 8 months. Come on.